Good evening. The regular meeting for the City Commission for Tuesday, August 27th, 2024 will come to order. Please join me in silencing your cell phones. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Cleveland.
Here.
Vice Mayor Perine.
Here.
Commissioner Hartman.
Present.
Commissioner Martin.
Here.
Commissioner McGurk.
Here.
Thank you.
And now please rise as Police Department Senior Chaplain Tom Purcell will deliver the invocation.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the many blessings you just pour upon us, Lord. First and foremost, that we get to live in this wonderful part of the planet in Florida, in this county, in this beautiful city, Lord. We want to thank you for these and ask you to protect these officials here in front of us today, both elected and appointed, Lord. Put your hedge of protection around them. Give them the wisdom, discernment, and knowledge necessary to make their decisions, Lord. Protect them from the fiery darts of the wicked one. And Lord, I pray that whatever they accomplish here today, they do to glorify you. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please remain standing. I'd like to invite Junior Chef Michael Seagoben to the podium. He's a rising culinist at 11 years old, having demonstrated his skills as a contestant and finalist on Fox TV shows Master Junior Chef.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. And thank you, Michael. Nice job to parents Amanda and Sean Seagoben. Thank you, Mom and Dad. We have a number of elected officials or their representatives here in the room. I'd like to recognize Ms. Debbie Phillips from Representative Corey Mills' office. Thank you, Debbie, for being with us tonight. And our own Senator Tom Wright. Thank you. New Smyrna Beach resident, our representative in Tallahassee. Thank you, Senator Wright. Mr. Rashadat, for the last time as our city manager, we'd like to approve the agenda. Do you have any changes to it, sir?
No changes, sir.
Very good. Thank you very much. One more announcement, if you don't mind. The Lake Mary All-Stars, the Little League team who won the World Series. For those of you that watched that, you saw the ultimate in sportsmanship taught by those parents and those coaches. The first thing those kids did after they won, embraced the crying children of Taiwan. Unbelievable. It's the first time that a Florida team has won the World Series, and the first time they've been to the Little League World Series since 2001, when Apopka played Japan and lost in the final game. I'd like to invite Senator Tom Wright, who will come forward and offer us some words about a project he has been involved with, the North Atlantic Avenue Stormwater Project. Senator Wright.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Good evening to everyone. I'm honored to present a check tonight to the City of New Smyrna Beach. These funds will be directed towards a critical infrastructure project, the North Atlantic Avenue Drainage Project. This investment will significantly enhance the safety and resilience of our community, and particularly during extreme weather conditions such as hurricanes and heavy rainfall. As many of you know, flooding has been a persistent challenge for the residents and businesses along the North Atlantic Avenue. Once completed, this drainage project will not only reduce flooding, but improve water management along North Atlantic Avenue, but also enhance the quality of life for the residents and businesses in the area. The check that we are providing today represents a major contribution towards a total project cost of $2,175,000, and it's important to note that this project is a collaborative effort. In addition to state funding, the New Smyrna Beach, City of New Smyrna Beach is contributing $500,000, and an additional $837,500 has been secured from other state funds. This partnership showcases the strong commitment at multiple levels, government, to to improving our infrastructure and ensuring the well-being of our residents. So I'd like to ask Charlene to bring up the check for us, please. And we're proud to provide you with a check of $837,500 tonight. Next year we'll try it again. Happy to do it. Thank you. Thank you for having me
Thank
here
you, sir.
tonight.
Thank you, Senator.
Onward and upward.
Thank you, Senator Wright. It's a demonstration of the interoperability between our local and state representatives here on the dais and in Tallahassee. Thank you, Senator Wright. We have a recognition of the Shareware Foundations, the founder Amanda Anderson and Lindsay Allender, and they have a donation for the city. I'd like to invite them, along with Chief Eric Feldman, to the dais, please.
So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Lindsay and Amanda. They are the owners of a very important local company called Shareware. So Shareware is a special bracelet that I brought up a couple of examples that they designed that can be worn by any member of our community that is at risk. So think of our elderly with dementia or our youth with autism. And by wearing this, we as police officers can recognize just by seeing that bracelet on somebody that they have some information that we want to access. Our officers can just tap their phone to the bracelet, and that provides us with everything we need to know to make contact with their caregivers, their parents, their spouse, and so on. So we were very excited to support this company. They actually donated 50 bracelets to the New Smyrna Beach Police Department. We're proud to be one of the first police departments that is out there offering these for free to our residents as a way to be more agile, to be able to respond to wellness checks and other needs for service in our community. So I wanted to present Amanda and Lindsay with a certificate of appreciation. The New Smyrna Beach Police Department awards this certificate to Shareware, Amanda Anderson and Lindsay Allender. On behalf of the New Smyrna Beach Police Department, we thank you for this generous donation to the New Smyrna Beach Police Department. Your commitment to public safety is deeply appreciated. And also Sergeant Mike Anderson, thank you, brother, appreciate you. The other half of this team, he's actually a sergeant with the Volusia Sheriff's Office. So we see how this kind of came to be. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Lindsay, for your donation to the city and making New Smyrna Beach a premier city with safety of our residents as number one. Mr. City Manager, your report, sir.
Yes, sir. I'll try to be brief. I know we have a long meeting, but we have, along with three commissioners, we attended the Florida League of Cities Conference in Hollywood. And also the new city manager was with us as well, and the city attorney. The mayor and Commissioner McGurk and I attended the Chamber of Commerce Government Day for the leadership program that they have at the city of Edgewater. Wanted to give you some updates on the 120 Flagler and the Women's Club. For the 120 Flagler, it's out for an RFP. It was for 90 days. We are expecting the RFP to be received on September 20th. That will be Friday. They will be opened on September 23rd on Monday. We have thousands of people who have reviewed the RFP. We will have another site visit. We had two that nobody showed up, but we will have probably another one 2 weeks prior to the submittal of the RFP. On the Women's Club, it was on the agenda last week, the last meeting. We pulled it off the agenda. The state has revised their regulations in terms of the restrictive covenants. So we want to make sure that it covers in the agreement that we have with the buyer to ensure that we will be reimbursed for the money that we have spent on the building. It's over $300,000. So we want to make sure that we have that before we proceed with the agreements. The parking study, tomorrow we have a meeting with the consultant to go over the draft report. They will be meeting with the commission individually on September the 9th, and it'll be presented publicly on September 24th, which is the second meeting in September. In terms of the public participation at the last meeting, we had 23 participants. The majority of them, they were in opposition to the 1300 Hill Street or South Atlantic for the parking garage. That was probably, I would say, the majority of them. There's a couple of items were there. I want to mention something about there's a project, it's in the county. It's 33 acres right there off of Page Avenue. A lot of people have been concerned about that in terms of flooding. It's in the county. However, the owner have approached us. He was asking a lot higher than what we expect. I have talked to the owner, kind of went down on his demands. We asked for 2 appraisals. We received one. We're waiting for the other one, and as soon as we get the other one, then we will try to come up with a contract and bring it back to the commission. I think this is part of the Turnbull Creek initiative. I think it'll be important for us to at least look at the feasibility of buying it and secure that and make it as a conservation area. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions if you might have.
Any comments or questions about the city manager's report? Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And now it's time for public participation. If there are any citizens who would like to address the commission, this is your opportunity for a monologue. We will not be answering questions. City manager and the city clerk will write down your contact information, and should you need follow-up, they will get back in touch with you. You'll have 3 minutes to speak, and you'll see the green light come on when you come up. When the yellow light comes on, you'll have 1 minute remaining, and then you'll be done at when the red light comes on at 3 minutes. Again, this is your monologue, an opportunity to recognize a city official that you particularly appreciate, a city employee, or a challenge that you have in your neighborhood that you'd like us to hear about. We're looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Good evening, Mr. Wesley.
Hello, my name is Larry Wesley, and I live over in 39 Sanders Circle. And I was here the previous meeting with my red jacket on and complaining about the, what you people call a 5-story parking garage. But this is what, I'm going to be quick because I have another meeting to go to tonight. As one of the last things that I would ask our manager to do is stop referring to this thing as a parking garage. This is not a parking garage. It fools everybody in the public. When we get a press release from the newspaper, it's a parking garage on, Atlantic Avenue, between 3rd Avenue and 4th Avenue. It's not a parking garage. It's a mall. Call it what it is. When you release a press release to the public, call it what it is. It's a mall, restaurant, bars, and retail shops. It's not a parking garage, so to speak. call it what it is. Because when we call it what it's not, we might get people behind it that shouldn't be behind it. Because those residents on that street on Atlantic Avenue there will never see a sunset again if you put a 5-story building up there. Okay? And it's not a parking garage, people, it's a mall. And that's all, you know, when you make a press release, please, 5-story mall proposal, not a parking garage. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Evening, Keith.
Good evening. I'm Keith Norden with Team Volusia EDC, and I wanted to take a few very short moments to congratulate the city manager for a job well done. Mr. Rashadat has been our executive committee member, an active executive committee member for the last 5 years as New Smyrna Beach's designee. He was a leader amongst all of our elected officials, as well as our 80-plus private sector investors and the colleges and universities. So he really was someone that we enjoyed working with, and our leadership, our investors, very much listened to his visioning and the direction that he gave Team Volusia EDC. So I applaud him for his 35 years of employment here at the City of New Smyrna Beach. We look forward to working with the new city manager, but we also look forward to working with your new economic development director, Samantha Bergeron. We have a long history with her as one of the premier practitioners of the region, and we look forward to working with her in that she was elected unanimously to serve as the chair of our Practitioners Council, which is a group of utilities, all the city practitioners, colleges and universities, and Volusia County Schools. So we're really excited for the future. We wanted to just commend Khalid for a job well done, and he did an amazing job with us in his volunteer position as an investor and on the executive committee. So thank you very much to letting me share my thoughts.
Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate your comments.
Sure. Thank you.
Keith. Appreciate it. Mr. Williams, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Bob Williams, 767 Pine Shores Circle. And I would be remiss if I also didn't take an opportunity to thank Khalid Rashadat. I did have the privilege of serving with him on the executive committee for Team Volusia, among many other opportunities to work with him. And I think I have I won't go into the detail, but a unique perspective of what it takes to have 5 bosses that you report to. You all do a phenomenal job setting policy, but when it comes to the operation of our community, the buck stops with the city manager. And you've got tens of thousands of people who all think they can do it better. And Khalid has performed with exceptional competence. And part of the reason is that he has earned respect and trust of the people in the community. And even to the point when we disagree or when I personally have made a mistake, he'll bring me in and we'll talk it over and work it out. And that's the kind of person that I feel deserves the highest respect. And so I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank Khalid personally for all that you've done to make this one of the best places to live in the world. Thank you, Khalid.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate your comments.
Good
evening, ma'am.
afternoon, everybody. I'm Celeste Lester. I live at 410 Quayasisi. I work for Habitat for Humanity. And that man over there is my buddy. He has helped us so much for Habitat for Humanity. We have created lots of houses for people because we got property that they couldn't use, and we built houses on it. And I've never known someone like him before. And he has been the greatest friend I've had here because he always helps us, and we help him. And I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lester. Appreciate that. Evening, Mr. Dalton. How are you, Frank?
Evening. Frank Dalton, 1617 Martinberry Road. Khalid, you've always made everyone feel very welcome. I hope you enjoy your retirement, and thank you for your time that you served. And second part, I would like to urge the commission to be mindful as respects to 10A, just to be conscientious, respectful of what that does when we displace that much wildlife and how that affects the animals and the culture and all the infrastructure there, and to also be mindful of agreements where it's residential, commercial mix. The commercial really needs to be addressed first so it doesn't become a dangling carrot. A lot of times in these mixed-use proposals, we see the commercial is the drawing effect to bring the residential people in. But if the commercial goes second, commonly is what we see is the value of the homes go up. And now the people that would be working in those commercial environments can't live there. So the price of the homes have gone up. And now we have a bunch of people leaving out every day. So other people can come in every day to work in those commercial spaces. So please be conscientious of that and put some guardrails there and be mindful of that. I beg the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments.
Good evening. My name is Skip Simmons. I live at 543 Hamlet Drive. I'm the executive director of No Longer Fatherless. So I'm here this evening just to spread awareness about an organization in our community that I think is doing amazing things. So our mission is to recruit, train, and match mentors with boys who are growing up without a father figure in Volusia and Flagler County, founded right here in Volusia several years ago. So now we're up to about 70 mentors matched with 70 boys in our area. And there's still a big need. We have about 30 boys on our waiting list right now. And I'm here tonight seeking more families in need because we expect to have an influx of New Smyrna Edgewater mentors over the next couple of months. I have the opportunity of speaking at about 4 churches here coming in the next month, including First NSB, Edgewater Alliance, Beachside Baptist, and waiting on a couple more. But if we have all these mentors in the area, we are hoping to have more families in need in New Smyrna and Edgewater. So if there are single mothers, aunts, grandmothers raising young boys, that we would love to help them. So they can find us on nolongerfatherless.org. And on the main page, there's a spot that says register a boy for our program. So that's how they can sign up. And as far as the mentors, we put them through a 4-week in-person training. And then we have a application. We have check multiple references. We check social media. And then we also do a level 2 FBI fingerprint national background check. So we do everything we can to screen our mentors to make sure we have the best candidates possible. And we have 3 main programs. It's one-to-one weekly mentoring and group events and life skill classes. So we have an event each month, sometimes 2 or 3 events per month. I just was talking to the fire chief in New Smyrna. We had a station tour with a group of our boys and mentors. We had a young man wanting to join the Daytona State Fire School, so he's there now. And it's all about supporting these young men, giving them male role models, father figures, and just helping them through life and being there for them in anything they need. You can find us at nolongerfatherless.org, any families in need. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the information. I brought brochures, if I'm able to hand those out to you guys. And if you guys have any questions, we'd love to answer them.
Thank you, Keith. Keep up the good work. Appreciate what you're doing in the community. Thank you for your comments tonight.
Richard England. I live in Edgewater, but I work here in New Smyrna the last 8 years, almost 8 years, as the head of the hub, and more recently Jane's Art Center. And then 5 or 6 years on the board of the Canal Street Historic District. And I'm going to add a few more words of praise to Khalid. Over these years, I've had a number of opportunities to work on things that we interacted with the city on and needed help in getting things done, and Khalid has always been there and been receptive to talk and solve problems and everything. So he will be missed for sure, and I wish him the best in retirement. And Kevin, wish you the best as well. You got some big shoes to fill, but thank you, Khalid.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments, Richard. Hello, Joe.
Good evening, all. Joe Dluvac, Venetian Bay. Let me start off by saying that I'm as tired coming before you to talk about all the good things at Venetian Bay as you are to listen to my monologue. The two things I want to talk about today are related, two of them, both of them having to do with parking in the town center. The developer was allowed with Village Center East to use a 25-year-old multiplier when calculating parking spaces. As a result, using the city's current data, there are going to be over 150 parking spaces beyond what is on his campus, resulting in filling the streets, filling the parking lots, having a big impact on the merchants there, the churches there, and the people who go and patronize those businesses. You're going to kill the city, the town center. Secondly, he had the audacity, because he does own, the developer does own the lot and the streets, he has decided that his solution was going to be to incorporate parking charges. To go to do a sandwich is going to cost you, not going to cost us, because he will tell you that that's validated. You can get your thing validated, but guess who's paying for that? And that's the merchant is paying to use those parking spaces. There's not much, we're looking into that through the merchants and their contracts and agreements that had been issued earlier. But one of the things that we've recently found out is that the developer has asked the city to participate in charging. You don't charge on Flagler Avenue, you don't charge on Canal Street, you certainly don't charge in front of residences. We ask you not to participate in this heinous action. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Anybody else for public participation? Mr. Steger.
Scott Steger. I live in Port Orange. I'll echo someone else, but own properties here in New Smyrna Beach and businesses as well. I started out wanting to say I wanted to jump on the Khalid is awesome train, because just 10 years of working with this man over here, you got big shoes to fill. I'm sure that you do a great job, but just have gotten to know him over the years and seen him work, and haven't always been on the same side. But trust, confidence, he inspires that in the people that he's worked with, and I have found that every single time I've had a chance to work with you, Khalid. So I really appreciate everything you've done here. It's been incredible. Right up to that, Vice Mayor Perrine and Khalid both worked on a sign issue that we were having around the city, but in Venetian Bay in particular. And so I'd like to thank you for your efforts on that as well. I saw that something got published recently, and I had a chance to share that around, so that was great. I also like to say a little bit of gratitude to Mayor Cleveland and Commissioner Hartman for looking into the issues that are going on with parking out there in Venetian Bay. I know that as a real estate company, I know you are restricted in what you can do as far as exerting force, but you can exert influence, and you have. And we have seen some modifications to what's taking place out there. I don't think it's enough. As one of the people who just spent a very, very large part of my hard-earned savings to purchase a piece of commercial property out there, I'm going to be impacted by that as well. I figure it's going to cost me about $500 a month to operate my real estate company and that piece of property that I just purchased. And that's the numbers, that's the most recent numbers that are given. I can't imagine what's going to happen to the spa, who has people coming in there routinely. And you're right, as a business, I am not going to make Jason McGurk pay $250 to come into my real estate office. But somebody's paying the $250, and it's going to be me. And so every one of those merchants out there, we're all trying to get together and work on this. There's very little that we can do. It is owned by the developer. I think they're within their rights to do what they're doing. But I do appreciate everybody here doing what you can to influence that and exert a little bit of pressure. So thanks very much for doing that. Appreciate everything you do. And Colin, thanks very much again.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate your comments. Jess.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Jess Romero, 790 South Cooper Street. I was talking to Joe a little while back there about how we're here. And Joe and I were discussing the old days when we came in the military, and there was a saying that was told to me many, many times, is the road to hell is paved with good intentions. As Joe said about paving, Venetian Bay was a good intention 20 years ago. Look where we are today. As you're going to vote tonight on this ordinances 9B and 9D, text amendment, that you're going to have a quasi-judicial hearing on this here, you're going to ask to vote. Now, the intentions of tonight's vote, the vote you take, if it's a yes, think of the implications that it'll have down the road. It won't be today. I'll probably be dead by the time it happens, but things spiral, things domino, and they go on down the line. It's a great example of Venetian Bay. It was a great, great vision 25 years ago, 2008, I think it was there. And I sat in this room when the residents of Venetian Bay came in and argued about the building they were going to put up there when they changed it from retail to commercial to building condos in there. And one of the commissioners said here, Geo Sands, to the residents, said Geo Sands has screwed you, basically. I recommend you hire a lawyer and sue them because it's happened over 20 years. It's not your fault. You didn't do it, but you're paying the price now. So as you take a vote tonight on this 9B and 9D, remember the implication that will have down the road. It's a domino effect. Sure, you'll make the North 7th Avenue on Atlantic there, B4. All around there is R2. B4 originally was commercial oceanfront, which Mr. Stork told us many times ago that it was upzoned to make it viable to make business there, many, many years ago. Now we're going to stop upzoning south of there, west of there. Where's he going to stop? We just had an issue with the developer pulled his parking thing the other week here. It was great. It's going to come back. So we start looking at these things here as like an accident happens. For example, I reminded of the Shuttle Columbia. One little piece of foam. A piece of foam that hit a wing, took it down on reentry. As we go down the line here, what's going to be a downfall to our city? Is it this? Is it what happened 20 years ago? Just think about that when you vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. Appreciate your comments. Evening, Cindy.
Good evening. Cindy Snuzak, 512 Yupon. I want to give thanks to the police. Oh my God, my mind just went black. Chief Feldman. I've had the need to call the non-emergency line several times in the last year and a half, and I have been treated with nothing but respect, help, ideas on how to handle some situations in the neighborhood, including an attempted break-in to my home. So I was really pleased that 2 of the times female officers came, and they were really awesome. So I'm very happy to see that many females serving on the force, but overall they've been great to interact with. So Colin, it's your last night sitting in that chair. Kevin, you're going to slide over, and as someone said, those are pretty big boots to have to fill, and you'll need the boots because of the hurricane season. You know, Colin and I have not always agreed on different topics, but one thing I will say, whether I've run into him in the lobby of City Hall or hung around after a meeting or seen him respond to things said at public comment, I will say that I have come to respect the fact that we can disagree. And I know I have been, and I hope it's been 2 ways, that we've informed each other's thinking on those points of disagreement. And we've done that without coming to blows, without becoming a reality TV show or all the other things that can happen in life. So I hope as you ride into the sunset, you have nothing but glorious skies to look at in the morning and the evening, and you enjoy time walking in some of the beautiful trails and boardwalk that we have here. And you know, I've learned that the statement I was always told when I first got into business, that the shortest distance between 2 people is a story. And so I hope we will have some ongoing dialogue as part of that story. So enjoy your time going forward.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments. Hey, James. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and fellow commissioners. James Halloran here with James Moore and Company CPAs. We're your auditor for the past 5 years. So I wanted to address an item on your agenda tonight. The next item on your agenda, Agenda 8A, selection of the city's external auditor. Just wanted to remind you as well, as part of that selection, the Florida Statute 218-391 allows you to select someone different than the selection committee. So you might say, well, why? I mean, James Moore was not ranked first, but why would you want to select James Moore? We provided good service the past 5 years, but some other things. You know, in the back there, you see some people standing up. You know, we have 53 employees that live here in Volusia County. 7 employees live in the city of New Smyrna Beach. Some of those employees here tonight are standing behind me, you see. 6 of them are residents of the city of New Smyrna Beach. Nick McCurrow, Spencer Machuga, Hallie Robinson, Webb Shepard, Julie Long, and Cody Duke. Also with me is Katie Walker, the director on the audit engagement, and also Josh Van Zant, who's going to be coming on to the audit engagement next year as the plan to help with auditor rotation. We understand, as always, as auditors, we report to the city commission. You know, that's our job. We report to you. You know, with that, the past 5 years, and in our previous term that we had with you as well, you know, we've always met one-on-one. I'll offer that to any of you to meet with us one-on-one to discuss the financial statements and the audit pre and post that time frame. And you might say, you know, well, why do we do that? That's a big time commitment at a partner level to do that above and beyond what most firms do. You also might have noticed seeing us at Volusia and Florida League of Cities meetings and say, well, why do we go to those meetings? Well, because it's more than just the numbers. You know, we're trying to figure out how we can help the city. What's keeping you guys up at night? What's keeping your management team up at night? Lastly, in the city of New Smyrna Beach, you know, you're experiencing a lot of leadership changes. You know, you have a great city manager that's going to be going to retirement, a new person coming in. You've also had, you know, in the past couple of months, 2 different finance directors and now searching again for another finance director. You're also currently just hired a new CRA director. Inside the finance department itself, you've had significant turnover. You've had over 50% turnover in that department in the past year, 20 people in the past 5 years in that small finance department. So that gives James Moore & Company historical knowledge of your finance area in the city. That's an advantage to your finance team in the years to come. So I want to thank you for your consideration of our request to appoint James Moore as your auditor, or at least provide us the opportunity to present to the city commission between the 2 firms and to select your auditor. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Thank you and your team for coming tonight.
Good evening. Ron Whitesides. I'm a partner with Purvis Gray & Company. I'm not a citizen, so I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn at this moment, but I just wanted to make you aware I was here. We were the top-ranked firm from your selection group. Under the agenda item, I'm happy to come up, tell you more about the firm, answer any questions you have about us, but we are a governmental audit services firm. I'm out of our Gainesville office. We have 5 offices around the state. We currently do work in New Smyrna. We audit the Utility Commission and have for the last 5 years. So your selection committee included Efren Chavez, who is the interim general manager of the Utility Commission. He has firsthand experience working with us over the past 5 years, as well as the other references you got as part of our proposal process. So although I am seriously outnumbered tonight, I hope we can discuss all those things when that time comes. I'm confident if we're selected, you'll be very happy with the service we provide the city. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your comments, sir. Evening, Jay. Mr. Pendergast.
Hi, good evening. Jay Pendergast, 5900 South Atlantic. I just have a couple of comments tonight, and one is about control. And I think when people talk to you on the commission, they don't understand what you can control and what you can't control. And for instance, the major roads are state, county, city, not city. Traffic, driving to the beach, high and low tide, the weather, decisions made by other adjacent municipalities, counties in the state. You can't control that. But what you can control is our growth. And I do believe that you have a very good proposal in front of you tonight from Deering Innovation Park. And that's something you can control. I mean, We can't go a day without hearing the statistic from Tallahassee. 1,000 people a day are moving to Florida. Well, they're not all going to the villages. They're going all over the state. And we can't control that either. But we can control what's going on. And you have a great opportunity to put a good proposal together on the property where Deering Innovation Park is proposed. Because if it's not Deering Innovation Park, it's going to be something else. And we have the opportunity now to control what's happening, and I totally support it, and I wish that you will give it merit. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Appreciate it.
Hi, Susan Coakley, 1402 Southern Avenue, New Smyrna Beach. I'm here again this month because I would like to plead that the commissioners and mayor honor their oath of office to preserve the scale and character of our beach town. I am requesting that you do not approve the PUD for 1300 South Atlantic Avenue. The footprint of this project grossly exceeds the scale of this neighborhood. In fact, well over 1,000 signatures were presented to you last month. And I think we could probably double that if so many people weren't on vacation right now, but we could. And that speaks volumes for re-elections. And I think it's important to consider that. A residential area such as this, when all of us bought and purchased our homes, we bought it knowing that that was zoned as a very reasonable business zoning level. Put a 2-story, maybe if they requested a 3-story, that would be more reasonable, but not exceeding the size of the homes in that area. The builder and the developer cannot compare it to a beachside hotel that's been there forever. That's ridiculous. And for you to listen to that and vote on things, facts such as that is just ridiculous. And I think that we acknowledge that the land needs to be developed. Yes, it's a vacant lot. The park, it is filled with customers going to the restaurants across the street because they don't have much parking. But that doesn't mean you have to take away our beachside neighborhood and put up a monster 5-story parking garage mall / rooftop bar restaurant. Put it across the street from your own houses, but keep it out of beachside 4th Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments.
Hello, I'm Karen Clancy. I live on Magnolia Street, just south of here. And tomorrow, August 28th, is the 17th anniversary of the proclamation of Karen Clancy Day, so proclaimed by Mayor Vandegrift and the commission at that time. I was noted for my work in the conservation and preservation of what is now the property on which sits the Marine Discovery Center. Imagine my dismay as I watched the wholesale destruction of our wetlands and environmental habitats of our beautiful city, covering thousands of acres in impervious asphalt and concrete, only results in the flooding we all see now of the communities where once percolating sands and glorious oaks stood. Let's see, it is unconscionable to continue down this path. And so I say no to changing our comp plan and no to changing our zoning on this Deering Park concept. If you can do things carefully, but I'm not seeing that. The irony of this proposal is that the rebuild of the high school back in 2007 on this very property that you're deciding on tonight was declined due to its environmental value and the increased traffic that a high school would create. And now you're talking about 2,700 homes. So again, I say no to changing that comp plan. And thank you, Khalid, for all your work that you helped me with on that project all those years ago. Good luck. Thank you.
Karen, thank you so very much. Appreciate your comments.
Good evening. Doug Mullen, 19 East First Avenue. First, congratulations, sir. Yeah, it wasn't easy, was it? Anyway, 9D, ordinance 5024. This is gonna be easy. Just no rezoning. That's not to say no more. And a lot of people spoke about the parking garage across the street with retail shops and restaurants. They all feel the same way. And the residents behind there, think about them. It's not gonna be good. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Appreciate it. Evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Ann Gunter, and I'm at 140 Temple Street, New Smyrna Beach. This is in reference to the Deering Park project. I think at the very least there should be integrity in our mayors and our commissioners' civic duty. You're the representatives of we the citizens of New Smyrna Beach. Your duty is to the safety of we the citizens long before you are a partner with a developer attempting to change our comprehensive plan, change our zoning and the wording to allow this Deering concept to move forward. Our comprehensive plan was created to protect our community first and foremost. There is the responsibility of using your civic leader position in good faith, which includes protecting the charm of our small coastal community. Your positions as our civic leaders is not to walk in lockstep with this Deering project developer and to twist the truth of the extreme impacts this would cause concerning a development such as Deering Park. It's disconcerting just for this project to have gotten to this point in the process, a point where we the people have come out en masse to condemn such an obviously bad idea. I say no to changing our comprehensive plan and our zoning. No to the Deering Park project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments. Evening, Steve.
Hello, Commissioners. Hello, Mayor. My name's Steve Gunter, address 140 Temple Street, and this is in reference to the ordinance 10.A, the Deering Park. I'm not even sure how we even got to this conversation. My point being 6 million square feet of commercial manufacturing in a sensitive wetland watershed. This is just 2 miles west of where I had knee deep in my bedroom. So obviously our conveyance routes aren't in control, and all of that 1,600 acres was holding all the stormwater from Ian and whatever. Now what you're trying to do is have Deering Park say that, oh, we're going to conserve 400 acres for conservation, which really means 1,200 acres are going to be elevated, covered in concrete, and you're going to push that stormwater somewhere. Mr. Storch tried to push the fact that 44 had been elevated, so therefore now their engineering would push water west and south. I can't imagine how somebody would be that disingenuous, because we citizens have watched it run north and east for decades. Nothing's going to change except we're going to have all this stormwater pushing down on homes, Corbin Park, Ellison Acres, Quail Hollow, Hidden Pines, just on and on. All these mature neighborhoods, we're going to receive that stormwater. You haven't figured out anywhere to displace this, and you're saying, let's change our comprehensive plan, let's change the zoning because we'll work all those details out. Well, I have an answer. As that one gentleman, he was saying, what was he pushing for this thing, and pro-development for this Deering Park, that everybody can't live in the villages. Well, look, everybody can't live in New Smyrna. We have a small coastal community. People came here because it was a small coastal community. That's what drew them here. If you start cramming in manufacturing, high density, you know, just, I heard dialogue where we want housing for people that work in Orlando but want to be close to New Smyrna. I mean, we can't satisfy everybody on their wants. So this property is zoned for forestry, agriculture, and conservation. Forestry, go to the Home Depot, $29 for one stick of lumber. They got 1,600 acres. I-95, we have above average roads, interstates that run to Orlando, Tampa, Miami, Jacksonville, and out of the state. There's plenty of good, valuable opportunity there. Agriculture, farm to table has been incredible. Go to Heath on 3rd Avenue, $17 a pound for turmeric. Can you imagine that's competing with the ribeye steak? Conservation, it's already zoned for that. All of these are zoned for that. And what we're having here is an ecotourism opportunity, which New Smyrna has always been our bread and butter, our foundation. Tourism is it. The lagoon's $1 billion industry. Our fishing offshore, marlin, sailfish, tarpon, the surfing at the inlet's the best on the East Coast. We have no need to be cramming in all of this development on 2 miles from my home and hundreds of others that have had knee deep water in their property.
Thank
I
you,
just
Steve.
beg
Appreciate
you to
your
redo
comments.
it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate your comments.
Good evening, Mayor,
Chief
Commissioners.
Vandermark.
Sean Vandermark, Fire Chief, New Smyrna Beach. In addition to all the accolades that everybody seems to want to throw on Khalid, I'm going to bring up an issue with consent item number 7H. And what that item speaks to is not only Khalid's workload within the city and his 35 years, the amount of time he spent behind his desk or in the field or walking through flooded neighborhoods. In addition to that, I want to tell you about the generosity that Khalid has exhibited throughout his 30-plus years. Within the fire department alone, Khalid has donated personal leave hours to people in need. On March of 2012, I fractured my femur. Khalid donated 16 hours of PL to me so I could continue to get paid during that time. In August of 2014, he donated an additional 16 hours to Ty Tarno, who had an injury, so he could get paid. In June of 2016, Khalid donated 29 more PL hours to Paul Nelson so he could get paid. When Jeremy McElfresh injured himself at work, was on workers' comp for over 2 years. During that time, when workers' comp was paying him at the rate that they pay him at, in order to bridge the gap so that he could continue to get paid while he was injured and recovering, Khalid donated time to Jeremy as well, just to make his paycheck whole. Donated in excess of 37 equivalent hours to Jeremy McElfresh during the time. This is only the 4 that I know about, and this is only within the fire department. I can't speak for all the other departments, but I guarantee you that he wasn't just handing out his earned personal time to the fire department. He was handing it out generously to every department in the city and to all the people in need throughout the various. So as you consider 7H, just remember this is not a gift. It is time that he's earned. It's time that he didn't take to go on vacation. It's time he spent in his office, basically locked down, doing whatever he does over there, and then some. So as you consider that, I just want to say it's been a pleasure, Khalid. Thank you so much. You've been a great mentor. We've had some good times together, and it looks like you missed your last hurricane. Doesn't sound like you're going to be here for the next one, so congratulations.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that, Chief. Anyone else for public participation? Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'll second that. I hope you get your time paid out. I'm Tiffany Kyle. I am living at 620 Hidden Pines Boulevard. I hate public speaking. It makes me very nervous. I'm going to read. I want to thank the city of New Smyrna Beach for considering using the Turnbull Creek Water Quality Wildlife Habitat and Natural Areas Protections Bond to purchase the 33-plus acres that's located on Page Avenue at the intersection of Wildwood. I'm hoping that you guys can prevent that from being developed and make it part of our stormwater infrastructure because forest makes excellent stormwater infrastructure. It currently holds a lot of water that I know it didn't prevent all the flooding that happened in Hurricane Ian, but I've seen it hold a lot of water during just heavy rain periods. And there's no more room for the stormwater to go underneath State Road 44 on that west canal. So we can't, force any more that way. So second, concerning the Deering Park innovation rezoning. Currently, 577 acres of the property is zoned conservation. If this ordinance is adopted, then 1,618 acres will be zoned to be industrial mixed use. And I am concerned that that's going to reduce the power of the city to restrict how the current conservation land can be used in the future. I understand that the planned unit development states that at least 400 acres will be natural vegetation, but that's far fewer than the 577 acres of conservation that currently exist. Furthermore, planned unit development contracts can change, as we've seen. We've seen quite a bit of things that were promised by GeoSam not come through. So I'm worried that the city is going to let go of the power that they currently have over this being conservation land, and not be able to do anything about it later when all of it goes to industrial mixed use. Is there a way that you can increase the protections on the conservation land, and if this goes forward? We've seen what happens when conservation land fails to be adequately protected. If you look at what's going on with our state park system and how upset everybody is about that, then you know that we don't currently have enough protections in place to prevent people from doing things on property like that they should not. So is it possible to allow some of the Deering Park land to remain conservation land? Don't rezone all of it, just rezone part of it. Is it possible to do that? Keep some of the known wetlands. I know you guys don't know what all the wetlands are, but if you can identify some of them and keep those as conservation land, that could be helpful. And then finally, the northeast portion of the Deering Park property is located in the Turnbull Bay watershed. I know that most of the property is not, and that it would be possible to have some of that water go south, but there is a substantial portion of the northeast property that is in the Turnbull Bay watershed. So I'm asking that you put protections in place so that that excess stormwater does not come into the neighborhoods located south of State Road 44. I noticed in the paperwork that you submitted as part of the packet that there are protections for other neighborhoods explicitly stated, but there's nothing explicitly stated for those neighborhoods that are south of State Road 44. So I'd ask that you add that.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Doug Everson. I live at 805 East 2nd Avenue, New Smyrna Beach, Florida. I was here a couple weeks ago. What I want to discuss is what's going on. I've spent most of my career in drainage as vice president of one of the largest drainage companies in the country. I've pitched my products. I hold a couple patents on drainage. I've pitched my products, and I've defended on both sides of the speaking post, whether I was defending something or promoting something. So I know pretty much how it works, because that's what I did all my life. And so I'd start by simply saying ditto to everybody who got up here and spoke, because that's what it's all about. We started out getting involved with the parking garage, and I can tell you that we have thousands of people on our signature page now. They all want the same thing. Development's coming our way. You can't stop it. But New Smyrna Beach should be voted and controlled by you, our elected officials who represent our interests, not those of your own vision for what New Smyrna Beach can be or you'd like it to be based on what promotions coming down or what builders coming down. You're not going to stop evolution. You're not going to stop the development, but we can control it. That's why we elected you. Many of you have been elected by us time and time again over the years. We've been through some difficult times, but most of which it's worked. We ask you to preserve that same integrity that you had with us all these existing years. and help preserve what's here. If you don't think this development that's up in front of you tonight is going to drain, or is not going to drain and flood everything around you, you're absolutely wrong. If you don't think it's going to pollute our infrastructure, you're absolutely wrong. You know, I can bring in some of the best attorneys, some of the best engineers in the country, because I know many of them, who will argue against what you're trying to do tonight or what's up for it. The choice is you have to evaluate everything. Your first priority is to protect us, the citizens, and worry about the development and negotiate something that's doable if you can. But your first duty is to protect our interests, and I hope you'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Appreciate that. Anyone else for public participation?
Good evening, Commissioners. And Colin, thumbs up. My name is Donna Hinkle, and I live at 1115 South Orange Street in New Smyrna Beach. I've been there since 2016. And I run a nonprofit out of 1111 South Orange Street. It's in my backyard, but I control it with the help of the police department and area volunteers that help us. I'm requesting a meeting with our task force with the homeless that was developed through the police department, and any of the commissioners that would like to join this meeting to discuss some things in our community with our houseless, homeless, indigent people that we have. We have seen an influx, quite a few influx of people coming from different areas, Titusville, Mims. I did a poll 2 weeks ago when I served the clients. I asked for their IDs to see where they were from, which they usually give us anyways. Titusville, Mims, Deltona, DeLand, Port Orange, South Daytona, and Ormond Beach. We serve people food. And it's probably going to get worse from our stats that we've been given. There are probably about, I'm not sure how many outreaches that are in New Smyrna that I set on boards or I help with. People need help, they call me. I usually felicitate to help whoever we need to help with. During disasters, Sean is one of us. We helped during the hurricanes for 7 days. We helped bring food, supplies, clothing, and we used to have a cold weather shelter here in town, and we had the mats, which we let them use at the city gym to house the people who were flooded out. So that's just one of the things, other things that we do in the community. And we have about 20 of us that I know of that does several outreaches in our community. It would not just be me, it would be First Presbyterian Church, First United Methodist, UCC Church, NSB, Beachside Baptist, and Lady Star of the Sea would be at this meeting, just to see what your vision is to do with our houseless, homeless, indigent people that we have in our town. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments and your work. Anyone else for public participation? Seeing none, public participation is now closed. Thank you for your comments. Before we close that, there was some confusion in the crowd. The clerk alerted me. The item that has been discussed, I think it's item 10A, which is there we go. It's ordinance number 5124. Will be a first reading. So we won't discuss it tonight. We'll just listen to the city attorney read it for the first time. However, at subsequent meetings, the next meeting, we will actually have a full discussion on that. So for those of you that were considering talking about that tonight, before I really close public participation, if you'd like to make a comment about that, come right ahead. Otherwise, we won't be discussing it. There will not be a public hearing tonight on that. It'll be a public hearing on the next time we meet. Is that clear to everybody? Okay. Questions? It's the Deering Park one. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, what's the exact date for the public hearing, Carrie?
I believe it's September 10th.
September 10th, all right? September 10th. Thank you very much. Okay. Just want to make sure that everybody got a chance to speak that wanted to speak. We'll leave public participation closed. We'll move on to consent agenda items. Are there any items from the consent agenda that any commissioner would like to have a comment or a question on? Are there any items that you would like to pull? Yes, ma'am.
Just a comment. A comment for 7C.
7C, the EDC, Team Volusia.
Yeah, just a comment.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Oh, one of the things I'd like to see is metrics on city expenditures. We're sure that, Team Volusia does great work, but I would like to see it documented. How is that 30,000 coming back to the city? So I think it's important that we justify to our taxpayers, when we put out an expenditure, we expect to get that back in some fashion. So just a metric for that in the future.
Great. Anything else? Any others? A comment, no others to pull, a comment on item 7H. That's the city manager's leave that he has acquired. You've heard the police chief. I'm sure there are other department heads who could have spoken up. I've gone through the record. There's only one other senior staff member on the city staff who has an overage right now. And upon retirement, Mr. Rashadat was cleared to leave on the 1st of August, and he could have done that. And when Mr. Cowper showed up, he could have been, here are the keys, goodbye. Nope, he elected to stay here and work for the month, helping to train his replacement. And so it's an exception, it's a rarity, and it's upon the retirement of the hardest working guy here that I know. And so I wanted to make sure that it's on the record that he decided not to take his personal leave and go away and decided to stay here and train Mr. Cowper for our benefit, amongst the other benefits that we heard the chief talk about. Seeing no items pulled or no more items commented on, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
It's a motion.
I'll second.
And a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, on to new business and administrative items. We're going to consider item 8A, the external independent audit services. I know that the Assistant Finance Director, Sheila Bola, is here, and the Purchasing Coordinator, Janet Vivian. We're anxious to hear your brief, ladies.
Good evening. So on August of 2023, the city exercised its last option to renew its contract with James Moore. And May of 2024, an RFP was issued where only one proposal was initially received. At the time, the committee decided not to open the proposal and that this was not a competitive bid, so they decided to revise the bid and reissue it. It was reissued on June of 2024, it then received two bids, one from Purvis & Gray and one from James Moore. The evaluating committee then ranked each of the proposal with the ending results of 97.33 to Purvis & Gray and 92.68 with James Moore. Any questions?
Yes, Commissioner Hartman.
What was the revision and why did you revise it?
Good evening. So the proposal we received one. Normally, we would say that one proposal is not competitive. Looking back to the addenda, when you receive one, from my perspective, you look back to see what could you do differently. If specifications could be too tight, I go through the addenda. One of the questions I was asked during that time frame was to define what a Central Florida location was, office was. So with the help, I proposed an answer and had legal review it, and we responded with it. So we received one proposal. When that proposal came in, we looked at the specifications, then we re-advertised it and opened up removing that qualification.
So just a comment, I mean, historically, when we've had these issues come up and we only have one bid, it usually comes back before us that we only had the one bid, so we're going to reopen it up, and you know, that part of the puzzle was missing. So.
Yes, sir. For that, looking at the purchasing policy, it does talk about one bid. It talks about going to commission to reject an offer, negotiate an offer, and reject an offer. Because the proposal was not even open or evaluated, it wasn't considered, so therefore I did not determine it would be an offer to bring to the commission for rejection.
Thank you.
Commissioner McGurk.
When you have an existing and then you went out again because there was no other bids, and this second time you get a new bidder, a second bidder, what do you have? Do you put any weight into your numbers as to how well the existing person has performed?
No, sir. For a new contract, we take in consideration in the selection committee, she'll rate the proposals on what's in front of them. They can't actually have New Smyrna Beach as a reference. Sometimes conversations come up where, for a construction project maybe, we have criteria where a construction company may have done a good job.
Speak in the mic. Speak in the microphone.
And so past performance is not normally taken into consideration.
Okay, what was the relationship during the discussion between the Utilities Commission and the city, seeing that they already represent the UC? Was that a benefit? Was that a net nothing, or was that a negative on having the same auditors do the same firms, the city and the UC?
From a purchasing aspect, I was advised these were your committee members. Following Florida statutes, we had a committee member from here, and I was also told to have who would be on the committee. So for my position, I did not know that there was, we don't know who's going to bid, so you're not going to know how to have selection committee. We don't form our committee after the proposals come in. We do it beforehand.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that response. Some comments. I echo Commissioner Hartman's response or comments, but I want to just share with you an experience. James Moore has been our auditor, and when I say our auditor, that's us. They report to us. There was a time when we went with a different firm, and that firm was terrible. What they specifically didn't do was report to us. You couldn't pry an answer out of them no matter how hard you tried. That was a terrible experience, and I couldn't wait to get back to James Moore. They've done an amazing job. Now, I'm not saying that Purvis and Gray would not do an outstanding job. Don't know them, haven't heard of them. I have all the respect for them. But I lived through a process where we went with a new firm, and what we got was not someone representing the commission. I'm very happy with James Moore. My biggest concern or issue is I don't like the UC and the city having the same auditing firm. It's just a personal opinion. That's my biggest issue with this. My auditors, I want independent auditors to report to us. Same thing with the UC. There, for many years, the same firm represented the city and the UC, and it went on for close to a decade or two. So I like the separation between the UC and the city with auditors, just my personal opinion. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Commissioner Martin.
I regret that we only had the two bids, but I must say that I know two of the three people on the selection committee, and I very much value their opinion and their reasoning, because I've talked to at least one of them about why they made the choice that they did, and I thought they had some pretty good answers. It wasn't that Halloran was, that James Moore was bad. That wasn't it at all. They're fine. But I thought I felt that there were good reasons for supporting the decision of the selection committee.
Thank you, ma'am. Vice Mayor.
I'm going to break this up and speak about being on the audit team, and then I'm going to also talk about being a vice mayor and my personal feelings as well. So first of all, it wasn't anything against James Moore. I don't even know that I knew that Purvis and Gray was the auditor for the Utilities Commission. If they did mention that, I don't recall that. So what we go through as the independent audit team, it's a lot. We have a very thick book, and we have to analyze all of the information that both CPA firms sent to us. And it's lengthy. It's a lot of pages, maybe close to 100. It isn't just dollars either. The cost is important, the price, and it does have weight that Moore was a lot more expensive, but that wasn't the only reason. And when we received the very first bid, we discussed with Ephraim, and also Bridget is from the Edgewater, so they're both very qualified in this. When we received this, we didn't open it so we wouldn't have to bring it back, because one isn't enough to make a good decision on, is James Moore competitive? What is their qualifications? I had nothing to go off of, and we didn't have anything to go off of, and it was a smart thing, I think, for Janet to rebid this and without us touching it. We didn't even know who it was. That was just something, one bid. I don't know who it was, but it's important that we go out and get it, at least to have an option. So with this, we have several criteria, rankings, qualifications, and capabilities. And there is a form that gives us what the top amount of scoring it should be. And then we go from there, personnel, staff, and experience. And we list on that, and technical approach and references. And we look at the references. I believe one of the companies had more of the utility background, and I thought that was James Moore, but I can't remember. But I can't go into specifics without it right in front of me. But at the time, I wasn't basing my opinion on the Utilities Commission at all. As a person of going through a lot of audits for 30 years, I know that the audits are totally indifferent, has nothing to do. If we have an auditor auditing the books of the city, it's going to be a total different audit for the Utilities Commission. It shouldn't be the same. Now, we ranked them, and we were unanimous on that ranking. Bridget, myself, and Ephraim, we ranked them on our own without even a conversation. We're going through all of these details, reading through all of this, and we don't talk about this while we're doing the ranking. We submit it. We have an opportunity to make a change if we need to, and then we discussed it. So it's not like we plan this. I don't know either auditor, to be honest. And And I have no reason to weigh one over the other than what they submitted to us and their qualifications and their references. And the Purvis Gray had a lot of references from what I recall from other cities. So I can't see you putting them with an auditor that, like you just commented on. I don't see that at all. I would be shocked if that happened. That is totally not what I saw with all of this background information. Now, on a personal basis, going through audits and not the audit team, what I think, since we have a new manager and a new finance manager, it's time for a new auditor. You want a fresh set of eyes. You don't want to keep an auditor that with a change of hands. You want them to go through and make sure that everything was done appropriately with a new fresh look. Every time as a finance director I'd go into a corporation, I would request a new audit and a new auditor. So to me, it just happened to be really good timing that all this was the contract in, or that I would have probably been up here requesting that we have a change in auditors anyway with the change of the two up here. So I don't know if you have any more to add to what I have. You've done this a lot longer than I have with the purchasing, part of it, and any rules that I left out. But
No, absolutely. Thank you very much. During the evaluation, we openly discussed the proposals.
Janet, we're having trouble hearing you.
Okay,
Speak
sorry
into
about
the
that.
microphone directly,
Not
please.
used to
Thanks.
this.
That's all right.
During the evaluation, we did rank the firms. We talk openly about each proposal. We don't talk about the score. And when Valley said we can change them, I allow them to change their notes. Suppose one evaluator doesn't find information, they can ask that question, they can locate it, read it, and then change their notes accordingly. We talk about the scores afterwards, and that's where we find the final ranking.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
During the evaluation, we did talk about possible presentations, and it was determined that the proposals had enough valid information that presentations were not recommended by the selection committee.
I appreciate that, and I've listened to my colleagues, and I'd like to follow up on something Commissioner McGurk said that I think Vice Mayor answered. This commingling is the wrong word, but talk to me again about the risk of having one auditor doing audits, separate audits, on entity A, which is related to entity B, and why we're okay with that and should not fear any commingling. Can you help me with that? I mean, you're in the business, and you guys as well. I want to just hit that one more time.
actually, do you guys know if this has happened in the past, or do they recommend a different team to do each location? I've seen that happen.
I have not been here long enough to know. I don't know if we've ever had both entities having the same auditing firm. I'm not sure.
Well, Jason, you talked about it, right? Yep, we have. He talked about that a few minutes ago. That's my question for
But
Adam.
that's what I'm saying. I haven't.
Not since you've been here.
Not since I've been here, yes. Yeah.
No, I get that.
One of the things I was going to say is I believe that the commingling isn't actually a commingling, and perhaps we ought to have Purvis Gray, speak to this. But as I understand it, that the NSBU does only, they report their forecast for the amount of money that they will be giving us, and that is the end of the commingling. It's not something that goes back and forth between the two. It is the anticipated revenue. So it's a one-way, I believe, two numbers. You all might know better than I, but isn't that?
They're actually shown in our audit report at the end of the year. So
Yeah, but
they're still.
It's not like we have lots of accounts intermingled.
No, we
It is
don't.
just that we have the two numbers because we get revenue from them.
Correct.
Right.
Right, not my question at all. My question is about the sanctity of each audit team, and is there any issue with the same members of the audit team being on audit X and audit Y? Is there a problem with that, or is that kosher?
I'm not an auditor, but I would think what the auditor is going to be looking at is the money coming in, where it's placed, how it's spent, and that type of, so we're not, I don't see the overlap per se.
Yeah. I think Commissioner Martin was talking about account commingling. I'm definitely not worried about that. Is there any issue at all in the same audit team auditing entity X, which is related to entity Y? Is that a problem?
From a purchase specs, I manage the process.
Just talk in the microphone, Janet, so everybody can hear
I manage
you.
the process and oversee the process. I don't get down with the contract and commingling. During our presentation, or during our evaluation, the committee members talked about what was in front of them. I just learned recently this week that the purpose and gray was for the utilities. That was not brought up during the process. So this is new to me. But again, I don't get involved with the auditors and who does what.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you weren't involved in that. I appreciate it's new discovery. I'm delighted that we did discover it. Now I'd like to deal with it, all right? And all I'm asking is if it's an issue or not. And maybe the audit guys are the right guys to ask, but before we do that, anybody, is there any other experience? I will tell you from my corporate life, Airline A would not be using the same auditor as Airline B for a variety of reasons. But those were competitive reasons. We're not competing with the UC. We are their partner, and we're in lockstep. So that gets thrown out. But I don't know if there are any other reasons. Valerie, anything?
Again, corporate-wise, it wasn't anything like this, so I don't want to say. I would rather hear what, since they're both in the audience, how they would handle that. They would pit it with different teams, or if they're okay auditing both.
Without objection, can we have at least we can have both audit teams speak, but at least hear from the Purvis Gray representative. Without objection. Okay, sir.
Good evening again. Ron Whitesides, Purvis Gray and Company. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. I'll limit my comments to your question, and if you have others, please feel free. So the concept of one firm auditing two entities, one of which the Utility Commission is what's called a discretely presented component unit of the city. We do audits all around the state. For instance, I currently serve as the partner in charge of Kissimmee Utility Authority, and another partner in my firm runs the City of Kissimmee audit. I could very well run both. There's no accounting prohibition, audit prohibition. The nature of the transactions between the UC and the city are really that the UC collects a couple of fees and also owes a percentage of its revenues to the city. We audit that every year as part of the UC audit to make sure that all the money that's supposed to be coming to the city is coming to the city. James Moore relies on our report. They may do some testing of their own, but they rely on our report for those types of items, right? They refer to us in your audit report for the work we do on the UC audit. So to answer the basic issue that has been raised of, is it not best practice, or is there a prohibition to use the same audit firm? There is none that I have ever encountered, been made aware of, or in my thinking of the subject am aware of. I could make an argument that there might be some advantages to having the same firm on both sides of all the transactions in case something doesn't quite match up. But again, we've done it with Kissimmee, we've done it with Gainesville, and Gainesville Regional Utilities in the city of Gainesville. Our firm is a firm, James Moore does quite a lot of utility work as well, but we've done electric utility work for 50 years. So that's a big part of what we do in addition to the municipal work. So anyway, if there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any other questions? Ma'am?
I just was going to suggest we also have.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ron. Appreciate that. James, without objection, have James Moore, representative, speak.
I'll make it short because there's no controversy there. As an auditor, we can audit both entities, both the Utilities Commission and the City of New Smyrna Beach. As Ron says, it happens often in different entities, whether it's counties or cities as well. You know, really the only time we've ever had a situation like that is potentially we might put two different partners or audit teams on them in case something did come about, you know, just for that independence thing.
Thank you, James. Appreciate that. All that said, my disclosure is I favor listening to our committee, our selection committee, and following their guidance. Is there a motion to approve the RFP 3024 FIN to Purvis Gray and Company?
I'll make that motion.
So motion.
Second.
And second. Any more discussion? Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, let's move on to Section 9, ordinances and second readings. Madam City Attorney, if you would read ordinance 4324 for the second time by title only, please.
Ordinance number 4324, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the land development regulations, amending Article 2 definitions, Section 201 general definitions, to replace church with house of worship and add pharmacy, amending Article 5 establishment of districts, Section 50402 specific regulations by districts, to replace church with house of worship and permit the use in certain zoning districts, and to replace drugstores and prescription pharmacies with pharmacy, providing for codification, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Mathan, we're ready for your report, sir.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So basically, what are the changes? So first, what we'll do is report on the drugstore and pharmacy changes. The current land development regulation has pharmacy, drugstore, prescription pharmacies as listed as certain permitted uses in certain zoning districts. So we reviewed the state statute 465. The state of Florida references the term pharmacy and not drugstore. So staff's proposed to replace the use of terms, get rid of drugstore, drugstore/pharmacy, prescription pharmacies, and just replace those with just pharmacy. So that would be consistent. The Planning Department also suggests a new definition that's based on Florida statutes 465.003, paragraph 20, subparagraph 8. So the affected zoning districts would be B2, neighborhood business, B5, planned shopping center, and B6, medical professional district. Also, new definition for pharmacy. Currently, the land development regulation doesn't even have a definition for pharmacy. So we'll also now report on the church and house of worship use. So the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act of 2000 is a civil rights law that protects individuals and religious assemblies and institutions from discriminatory and unduly burdensome land use regulations. After hearings which Congress held that religious assemblies and institutions were disproportionately affected, and the fact that they were awfully discriminated against in local land use decisions, Congress passed that act unanimously in 2000, and President Clinton signed that act on September 22nd, 2000. So the act provides several important protections for religious freedoms of persons, places of worship, religious schools, and other religious assemblies and institutions. In an attempt to comply with that act, the Planning Department has recommended that the use of the term church be reclassified as a house of worship, and to relocate those from a special exception use to a permitted use in certain zoning districts where compatible permitted uses exist. The Planning Department also has proposed a new definition for a house of worship. So as you can see on this slide, the churches would be struck out as special exception uses, and house of worship would be inserted as personal permitted uses. Churches would also be replaced with house of worship as it pertains to daycares that are on house of worship property. So the definition of a church would be replaced with the definition of a house of worship. The two definitions would be same, just have different titles. So at the regular scheduled meeting on June the 3rd, 2024, the Planning and Zoning Board voted 7-0 to give a positive recommendation to the City Commission to approve the requested land development regulation amendments. The Planning Department also recommends City Commission to approve the request changes to Section 502.04 and Section 201.00 to be consistent with that act. And that is Summary of the staff report, subject to any questions that the commissioners may have.
Any questions for Mr. Mathan or any comments? Thank you, Bob. Appreciate your report.
Thank you.
The public hearing is now open. If there are any citizens who wish to speak on this matter, please come forward. You'll have 3 minutes to express your views. Seeing none, public participation is now closed. I see a representative from the Planning and Zoning Committee. Anything that you need to add to this about how you voted, how the vote was, Curtis? Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Is there any more discussion on the adoption of Ordinance 4324? May I have a motion to adopt?
Motion to approve ordinance 4324.
Second.
And a second. Madam City Clerk, please call a roll.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes, motion's adopted. Thank you so much. Now on to item 9B, which is the text amendment of B3 zoning district to add pain management clinics to the B3 highway service business district as a special exception. Madam City Attorney, if you would read 4424 for the second time by title only, please.
Ordinance number 4424, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the land development regulations, amending Article 5 zoning districts, Section 50402, specific regulations by district, B3 highway service business district, to add pain management clinic as a special exception use, providing for codification, providing for public hearings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. I see Senior Planner Jake Baker ready to go. We're ready for your report, sir.
Yes, we have applicant and property owner Dr. Rajesh Alani. Applicant requests approval of a zoning text amendment to allow pain management clinics with conditions as a special exception in the B3 Highway Service Business District. Now, why a zoning text amendment? Basically, the applicant would like to allow the land use category of pain management clinic to be allowed in the B3 with a number of conditions. Basically, but the intent of this is to disallow the profusion of pill mills in the city. Now, what exactly is a special exception? It's a use that would not be appropriate generally or without restriction throughout the zoning district, but which, if controlled as a number, area, location, or relation to the neighborhood, would promote the public health, safety, welfare, morals, order, comfort, convenience, appearance, prosperity, or general welfare. Such uses may be permitted in a zoning district as a special exception in accordance with this LDR. That is our definition of special exception in the land development regulations. Currently, pain management clinics are limited to 2 zoning districts, the B6 Medical Professional District and the B6A Limited Medical Professional District as special exceptions with the following conditions. They must have a reception and waiting area. They must have an administrative area, including room for storage of medical records, supplies, and equipment, have private patient examination rooms, and have treatment rooms if treatment is being provided to the patients. Now, the proposed special exception criteria includes the initial ones from the B6, those carry over, and there are additional ones, including provide documentation that the business is registered with the Florida Department of Health or documentation that the business is exempt from registering with the Florida Department of Health. The clinic must be operated and administered by duly licensed medical doctor or doctor of osteopathic medicine. The clinic will offer interventional spinal injection therapies administered by a duly licensed MD or DO. The clinic business will be by appointment. No walk-in appointments would be permitted, and clinic will not dispense narcotics on premise. So anyone that wants to come forward to set up one of these clinics in the future would have to meet all of those criteria to be able to basically move forward. So here's the map that shows the B3 zoning districts throughout the city. This is kind of the Canal Street and the 44 corridor going east-west, and then going north, kind of in the Islesboro area, and then south along basically the business corridors of US 1. I know at the last meeting, there was concern, we had brought up the whole First Amendment rights, and we can't, not have them be able to advertise what they want to do. So basically, this is a photo that they took. I read it out, the interventional pain management. So on the door, you would just have PRC Associates LLC. They wouldn't know beyond that what that means. And then they've also agreed, this is from an email that I got from them, for the NSB location on the building and roadside sign, we plan to just put PRC Associates LLC in a font that matches that it's there. So basically, if you don't know what PRC Associates is, you would never know that it's Pain Resource Center. At its regularly scheduled meeting on June 3rd, the Planning and Zoning Board voted 7-0 to give the commission a positive recommendation. At your last meeting, you voted 3-2 to approve. Do you have any questions for me?
We may. Anyone have questions for our senior planner?
Only I got.
Commissioner Martin?
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I got a call today from somebody who says that really professional pain management clinics use special, I think there's special, like anesthesiologists, people who are certified in pain management techniques and injections. I forget, she gave me 3 different names, but they were very specific to actual pain management, and as opposed to just a general MD or DO. Have we given any, have we looked at that or considered that?
We went with, after our discussions with them, that has been explained that you have to be highly, one, the whole intent was to avoid the quote-unquote pill mill, so there actually no dispensing of narcotics on the premise, no walk-in appointments, and from what I understand, with the only you have to do interventional spinal injection therapies, you're pretty specific. Basically, these people, a lot of them, I think, are kind of like end-of-life things in hospitals. These aren't kind of like go up and you get drugs and they don't
But
even
my
have
understanding
narcotics.
is that that's a special medical, that's a medical specialty to be doing this, and I was just curious.
I would have to defer to the doctor here to explain the differences because I can't break down that level.
Any other questions for our planner? Vice Mayor.
The reason why I said no to this on the first reading was not because of this group. And I love how they just put the PRC and nothing else. It's because we can't control if we approve this with future groups. And we can't ask them not to do what they're doing, correct?
Well, then if they come back, because they've already gone basically to P&Z to try to get this process moving, they have to meet all of these criteria, and then there's going to be 2 public hearings in front of you to determine if you, as a commission, agree that they meet these criteria. So it's not like this is now going to be allowed to go in. They have, basically what this step is putting the text in our land development regulations so they could then apply to go through these steps right here. So you're going to see this in as soon as we can get the next one on the agenda if it gets approved.
Again, I don't think you answered, will we have control over the signage? of
No,
the
we
future?
cannot directly control because it's a First Amendment right. We cannot say that. But these people have agreed, like I said,
That's
they're
my
going to play a
big
lot.
issue on this whole thing.
Yeah.
Is right
And
there.
I think the level of, expertise that they have, I think that they're not going to be people that are walking in. They're either going to be leaving and going to a hospital or going there for a very specific purpose. They're not the kind of, there's a pain management clinic, I'm going to stop by kind of traffic.
And I hope you understand this, but we received letters and everything today stating we don't want to see signs in the future on Canal Street, on any B3s, Highway 1, not complying as this, this group has, which hats off to them, but we're concerned about future people.
Follow up by Commissioner Martin.
Yeah, just a question.
They got to finish.
What- I'm sorry. Okay, a question. We have 2 medical districts now. Why would they choose not to be in the medical districts? That's number 1. And number 2, I am very uncomfortable making any zoning text amendment that applies to functionally the city, in this case, any place B3 in the city, because one applicant wants it. As we know, that applicant can be the best person on earth and all of it, but we have no way of restricting it to just that one applicant. So any zoning text we make, change we make, we are really ceding control. And when we go back all these years later saying, oh, they did that 10 years or 20 years ago, we can't do anything about it now, I have real concerns. So why a zoning text amendment as opposed to just the special exception that was approved by planning and zoning And why aren't they encouraged to operate in the medical districts we already have?
I think they're kind of getting squeezed out, from what I understand. They were operating in there and basically don't have a place to continue operating right now. So they're kind of, were moved out and they're looking for a new place, a new home. They've already been operating in town for years.
Before we hear from the applicant, any other questions for Mr. Baker? Okay, thanks, Jake. Appreciate your report. I see the applicants are here. Please come forward, identify yourselves, give you an opportunity to speak.
Hi, I'm Dr. Raj Alani. I've been at 1055 North Dixie Freeway. So I'm board certified in internal medicine, pulmonary medicine, critical care medicine, and sleep medicine. Been providing service to the community for 20 years. We also work at the hospital. I was in the hospital district area. Dr. Bakshi, who is board certified in anesthesia and pain management. And his entire group of PRC is made up of doctors. I may be board certified in 3 or 4, but I can't do interventional spinal therapy. I can't do that. He can do that. I'm the landlord. He's a tenant. He's the one that's going to manage the clinic. And they have probably 5, 6 locations. They were in New Smyrna for last 15 years, 11 years. And now they are moving to this location because they got they sold the building, which they should not have, but anyway. So we are trying to provide a needed service by the most competent people. I cannot give spinal injections, he can.
Well, my question would be, rather, the planning and zoning said yes to a special exception for the use. Why go for a zoning text amendment that would affect the whole city?
He can't answer that.
They asked us to do that. I don't know.
So let them
So-
participate. Let's let them have their piece, and then we'll ask questions as a follow-up, okay? Continue, Dr. Alani.
And as to the hospital district point, that was a point I understand. I used to be in the hospital district when I started my practice. I had 2 parking spots, and it was extremely hard in that small area. No wonder the hospital is moving away from where they are, because that area is, as there are more doctors, they got crowded out and they are moving, but we just need to, they are qualified, more than qualified, to provide the service.
I want to be
Commissioner
clear.
Martin, we're going to let them finish, and then you're going to get to ask questions along with the rest of us, okay? Anything else, doctors?
So I'll just add that as far as finding a place, we've been looking for a year and a half in the special zoning area, and we've not been able to find a place. And that's why we've been here for 11 years, and we have 8 locations throughout, but it's just we'd have to move out of New Smyrna because we've just not been able to find a place till Dr. Alani, offered his place. Otherwise, we've just not. That's the reality. And office managers here, we've been trying for a year and a half. We've just not. There's just very limited space right next to the hospital, and we've not been able to find something there.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Anything else? We may have questions for you. Anybody wish to ask the doctor questions? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We have the benefit of having the vice chair from the Planning and Zoning Commission here. Mr. Hodges, would you come up and tell us a little bit about how that proceeding went and how you came up with your conclusion and things that you guys considered?
Well, we had a lot of feelings, just like you guys did, okay? But we found out that each one would be a case-by-case individual. This wasn't a blanket card to play everybody that comes up there. And when we looked at it, our big things were about dispensing the medicine, people walking up, people seeing the sign. Most of this was written from them to us and for us to approve it. The only one we didn't have, we had that stricken about the signage too, because the signage was not something we could do. But most of these things in here that were put into place was to protect ourselves from having, just have another pill mill in the town. It's caused a lot of problems for a lot of people. And so we were pretty comfortable with it. We voted 7-0. And But, and another thing, our district for that was a very small area they could get in, and they couldn't find places. And I think our biggest thing is just what they would do there, and was about, you know, how they did their injections, and also about not having the walk-in, the examining rooms, the waiting areas, all that. I think when you guys look at this the same way we did, you would feel more comfortable about it. It was not really like for everybody and every business could come in here and say the same thing. This left a very tight guidelines for everyone else that comes behind them to try to follow.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Hodges for the P&Z? I have at least one.
Yes, sir.
Can you talk to us about, I'm concerned, as is Commissioner Perrine, about good for one, good for all. And while Dr. Alani and his associate may be the most conservative, and they've agreed to have signage that is conservative, I worry that Brand X, you know, would come in, and have we got it? Is it tight enough to make sure that we could say, nope, doesn't sound like you want to play the game the way we have intended it, the way the Planning and Zoning Board intended it, the way we would like to see it as part of our city. Commissioner Martin rightly points out we've already got 2 places that we have that type of work in. Do we need to have more places? If so, why? And how do we protect ourselves against exactly what Commissioner Perrine's talking about, a different group coming in and saying, I want to advertise differently. I want to exercise my First Amendment right and do whatever I want, whatever kind of sign I want. And the rest of this sounds like how you protect against the treatment. We're also interested in what the appearance of the place is. Did you guys think about that or look at that at all?
Yes, we did look at that. And like I said, each one of them is going to be a case by case, and we recommended this to move to the commission. And if you guys see something in here that we're not seeing, you know, you have the final judgment call on what happens here. So we really feel like our area was such a small area and they couldn't find place to rent. New Smyrna Beach is not a real big town, so they didn't have a lot of places for them to go to. And we felt like as long as the Planning and Zoning Department gave us a guideline, that guideline is going to be passed down to the next person coming up with the same situation. And that's why we have zoning regulations, and that's why we have people that can oversee this.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Any other follow-ups? Thank you, Mr. Hodges. Thanks for coming out tonight representing the P&Z. Public hearing is now open. Are there any citizens who wish to speak on this topic? Please come forward. You'll be heard. We'll offer 3 minutes time.
Jeff Romero, 780 South Cooper Street. I sat back there and listened to the whole conversation, and I read the package and I read the documents in there, and what I'm hearing is that the doctors are being squeezed out. They're probably being asked to pay more money for the lease. So that now they want the city to change the tax amendment for the whole thing. That seems to me is kind of ridiculous, because they're asking you to vote on something for everybody else. Mayor's right, and you're right, Commissioner President Martin. Who's next? They have a domino effect. It starts today, next tomorrow. Next one comes in. They're great doctors. I believe it. I've had pain management before. I had shots. I have everything. All right? Now, thing is that what happens next? Like you said, Mayor, it's not about them. It's down the line. It's another 5 years from now. When you guys in the office, not in office. Well, this happened here. Remember, whenever you set up presidents and commissioners, not just you, but we've passed here, somebody wants it again. Well, you gave so-and-so this here, I want it too. On this date, you voted for this. Why can't I have it? And then a lawsuit comes in. So down the line, that's what's going to happen. So I strongly recommend this does not go through, because it's going to affect the whole city. You're asking to expand the medical facility all across the city. 44 Canal Street. What about Flagler? Why can't you have it there? I mean, think about it. It could be anywhere. Atlantic Avenue. Why not down there? Why can't we have it there? So it comes down the line. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else for public participation? In a minute, yeah, one more time. We have one more for public participation, Doc.
Good evening, Cindy Snezak, 512 Yukon. I had a slide display, but I didn't realize I should have submitted in advance, so I learned my lesson there. You know, I read this very carefully a couple of times. I watched the comments that the three of you who voted in favor of this at the last meeting had to say, and kind of going back to some facts, because that's how you're supposed to vote tonight, is facts. Not that these doctors are great doctors. I believe that they are. I've used pain management myself. But P&Z passed this 7-0, yes, with the criterion that they would not use the words pain management or pain medication in anyone who wanted this exception in any exterior signing or advertisement. That criterion was disallowed after they voted with that criterion. So I know there's an attorney at that meeting, so I don't understand why well after the facts of that 7-0 vote, that just went away. And I respect that these gentlemen are willing to self-impose this restriction, but unless I see something there that says that something that gives you control over signage, think about what staff said about this. So in their own words, 2 zones, B6, B6A, higher standards as to location, appearance of building, and treatment of the land. So where are those places? Well, I've driven by them. North Causeway between Barracuda and the drawbridge, you wouldn't even know those facilities are there. Immediate area of Fish Memorial, Advent Health, you wouldn't know they were there. And between 18th and 19th Avenue on South Atlantic. Okay, but in the staff's own words, allowing pain management clinics in B3 would be a significant departure from the past. And B3 is, these B3 zones on those maps, and I've studied them, include CRA zones, which means they're struggling parts of town. They're gateways into New Smyrna Beach. And because you cannot control the signage, is that our welcome to New Smyrna Beach? Is that the family image that we want? So in your own words, on the city's website, Jason intends to protect what makes New Smyrna Beach so unique and special to its citizens and encourage redevelopment and reinvestment in city's core business districts. He, Randy, envisions a city where governing bodies hold at the highest level its citizens, for they are what make our citizens unique and valuable. So leaders do what they pledge, and they make the right decisions at the right time for the right reasons. And your decisions need to be fact-based, not individual-based, which is what this looks like to me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else for public participation? Dr. Alani.
Thank you again. Time and again, I've heard anybody comes in, we try to hire an MD and we struggle to hire MDs. So line F says not anybody, MD or DO. Now, MD can be a regular MD, I got it. So we need somebody specialized like Ms. Martin said. So these are specialized, we didn't say pain management certified, but like I mentioned earlier, with all my board certifications, I can put in chest tubes and all, but I cannot do an intraspinal injection. Only he can, because he has a special degree in anesthesia and pain. You will not get certified, I will not get allowed to practice pain management unless you are pain certified. So we are regulated by FDA, DEA. We are not really, I mean, I'm surprised. For pulmonary medicine, if I practice, I want to open up, I open up anywhere, and that's what happens. Do we write pain medications as a pulmonologist? Surely. Maybe 5% of my I write sleep medications. Nobody is, you know, that's something we have, every doctor in this town, there are probably 100. And we are not regulated. This pain is being like just because of the name, but you know what? 35% of our population is over 65 of New Smyrna Beach. And we all, I mean, I'm not 65 yet, but I'm needing pain help. So, I mean, I don't understand. With those two criterias, we are very well protected for prevention of anybody comes in and starts. They have to be pain anesthesia is a 3-year fellowship after MD. Pain management is 1 more year. So somebody who does 4 years training after being MD, how much more protection do we want? No, people who are pain certified are not walking into this town and trying to start pain clinics. For the last 20 years I've been here. I've been involved in chief of staff at the hospital. We struggle to ask these people to please come and help us manage pain for our patients. We cannot even get them to come over. Currently, there is no pain management doctor on staff at New Smyrna Beach Advent. I also manage DeLand Hospital, no pain management doctor at DeLand too. They have privileges at Daytona, Advent Daytona. We're trying to get them to provide the similar services to our town, and I don't understand why these are pain doctors certified. 8 of them, with 6 nurse practitioners also. So 14 providers trying to come to town, and we're blocking them. I don't understand that part. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments.
Could I just add one thing? I think the main concern here is just the word pain management. So either if there is a way to restrict everyone coming to town saying pain management, if that's possible. If not, can there be an exception just for us with our credentials, but not open up the floodgates for everyone, like everyone's concerned about? Is that, maybe a more restrictive way for us to be, to practice versus saying that you're making an exception for pain management in general to be part of the whole, the zoning district and change the whole zoning? Maybe if we can just have a focus, because you're looking at our credentials. You're all board certified doctors. I think no one can disagree that pain management, not pill mills, not opiates, but pain management is a very necessary service. It's the biggest expenditure in healthcare today is pain management. As with the aging population, and especially in Florida, here where we have such a senior citizen population, everywhere you go, everyone needs pain management. So I think to have a group like ours be forced out of town and not have any pain management in the city versus creating something where we as a group, where if you all feel that, okay, we are good doctors practicing good medicine, we've certainly done it for 22 years in this area and 11 years in New Smyrna, maybe we have an exception for us to come in and be in Dr. Alani's office and that's it, and not change the whole, if there's a way to do that, maybe that would be, a solution.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, doctor. No, go right ahead, Commissioner Conrad. Anxious to hear what you have to say, ma'am.
Lillian Conrad, 2700 North Peninsula, number 416. I'm up here speaking after listening to all of this. I'm between a hard rock and a soft place. It's a bad way to put it, but I've always been a proponent of not permitting zoning changes, exceptions. I've been a proponent of changing the land use zoning. So this is hard for me because I really do not believe B3 should allow pain clinics or any kind of services related thereto. I would prefer to see a zoning exception. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments. Anybody else for public participation? Public participation is now closed. Does the applicant like to say anything more? Does the city have anything more to say? Mr. Baker?
The only other criteria I could think of, and it applies for certain other types of uses, is a lot of times there's distance requirements between types of businesses. Like 1,000 feet, 500 feet, you can't have any of them between. That could be the last criterion, just so there couldn't be too many close to each other in an area. Just a thought.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Any other discussion amongst the panel?
I just want to add just to prove my point that we were not able to get any space, we've been, for the past few months, since our lease has expired, we're not practicing pain medicine in New Smyrna. So all the poor patients are traveling to Port Orange, Daytona, Orange City as needed. And some of them, it's very difficult for them to travel. But if we don't get this space, we are not going to be in New Smyrna just because we have not been able to get space. That's the reality, and that's why we've gone through all this, because we have not been able to find a space.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Public participation is closed, and we'll have our comments. Commissioner McGurk.
The important thing that I see is there's a lot of concerns with pain management clinics. And everybody has every right to be concerned about that, 100%. As a matter of fact, we were so concerned about it that we condensed the zoning of where you could actually be, because there was an epidemic in this country going on. So what we're actually trying to do now, as spoken by the doctors, it's too small. The market conditions are very difficult. The business models are very difficult. And the main thing we're doing is we're calling it it's a pain management. The doctor said it perfectly. We're scared of the word pain management because of what happened in the past. The federal government, the state governments, the local government, us right here, actually changed where you can put these things as a response to the problems that we were having in the community and that every community was having. And what usually happened in these terrible pain management clinics was a lot of these people were arrested. A lot of them were put in jail. You have the family of the biggest producer of oxycodone who is looking at jail time, the personal family of this company. So where I'm getting at is these previous pain management clinics were run very poorly, illegally, very badly, and we know that. And between the federal, the state, the county, and municipal governments over the last 5-10 years, we've completely changed how they operate. So you're comparing the past to the present simply by a name, pain management clinic. And what I can tell you, facts, is no narcotics are being distributed on the site. No narcotics. That was the problem, that the narcotics were being distributed on site. And we know what the problems were. So you're comparing something from the past that is not equal to what is being proposed today. There's this irrational concern, and I understand why people would be concerned. But let me stress again, no narcotics are being distributed at this location. These doctors are specialized, and that will be in every single case that comes before us. That is part of the condition. No narcotics can be distributed at the location. People come in with severe pain and get specialty shots in their back. And I think that is a wonderful public service. We need better medical in this community. I've spoken with dozens of people. Nobody over the years has disagreed with me that we need better medical in this community. But we're running scared because of a name. And I can't change the name. I can't go back in time. Maybe we call them something else. But we made it almost impossible by zoning, restricting them where they can go. And you hear the doctor tell you for 1.5 years, he can't get in that little area. For a business that is not going to administer narcotics, it's right here. So I understand the concern. Years ago, when we were dealing with this as a city, we acted swiftly. But this is not what we were trying to keep out. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Any other comments, Commissioner Martin?
Just a question. We all want the services that these doctors provide to continue. Is there a way to legitimately have this one practice continue without opening up all of B3 to people who may not nearly be as reputable? So our problem isn't with these doctors. Our problem isn't with pain management. Our problem is with affecting all of B3. Is there a way to accommodate this practice alone?
So in order for them to come through with a special exception use, which would be an additional public hearing, we have to provide for the process. This would provide the process. So it's not just anybody coming in. Anyone who wants to do this in the B3 has to come through this commission for a public hearing. Now, it's possible, based on what the applicant stated, you could further refine subsection F. Clinic shall be operated and administered by a duly licensed medical doctor or doctor of osteopathic medicine who is board certified in anesthesiology or pain management. That would be something to further refine it down to increase your caliber of businesses.
But again, what we're all what so many of us are uncomfortable with is the fact that we can't control signage and we can't control. We may be better educated into the importance of pain management, but when people come into a town and they see the signs for, the smoke shops, the gun shops, the pain management clinic, the pawn shops, it says something about the town, whether that's valid or not. And I think that's our real problem. And I don't know how to get around that. And, that's it. But there isn't any other way to carve out, one little corner that would enable these people to operate without impacting the entire zoning text.
No, you would do it with the conditions. You'd refine the conditions to make it super tight so that anyone coming in here would have to be to this caliber.
Anyone else? Commissioner Perrine, anything? No? I've got a question on process. I would have liked the item G, which is the clinic will offer interventional spinal injection and therapies administered by licensed MD or DO. I like the fact that Dr. Lonnie's partner there is an anesthesiologist, which relates to, it's a tighter hold. My question on process is, should we approve this? And this is a legislative determination tonight, not a quasi-judicial. After this text amendment is approved, are future cases that come before us now quasi-judicial since they're just applying for a new rule which is in place?
Correct. They have to meet the criteria.
So the door goes open a bit, and now we're in a box, and that bothers me a little more. Absent tightening up you got to be an anesthesiologist. Not that every person on the street is an MD or a DO. I get that. You have years of school and training and fellowships and education. Got that. But I don't want to see Dr. Alani's situation where a soon-to-be retired physician comes in and says, I've got a degree, and somebody else comes in and says, hey, I know how to do this stuff, and now we have a lot less control because it's a landlord-tenant situation, and the landlord isn't Dr. Alani, it's just, Fred's medical service, and I'm hiring any MD or DO to do injections and to do the treatment. I prefer it to be a little tighter on the rule side with a licensed anesthesiologist professionalist. So as written, I don't like it. The signage is a whole different deal. We've got to honor the First Amendment opportunity and the character of the town and what it looks like without offending anybody who has any type of business. We certainly have a flavor for what we like the town to look like and who we want to attract. So I had a couple of problematic things, and maybe too late to come back. Should this get voted down, is there an opportunity to come for it to come back?
I
And
believe you would have to wait
the
a
writing
year.
change, have the rule set change, or can we offer that change tonight?
So tonight, if you wanted to add in the words board certified in anesthesiology or pain management to both F and G, you can do that. If you turn it down, they can't come back with, I believe it's a year with substantially the same text amendment.
Can you opine for a second, though, City Attorney, on this when it turns into quasi-judicial? I'm just worried to death that the barn door's open and now we're handcuffed.
Yeah, so you have to be comfortable with the conditions. If you're going to approve this, you have to believe, the fact that they don't dispense on site, the fact that you've raised the bar from not just an MD, but a board certified in these certain areas. That's your safety, are those conditions.
Any follow-up? Yes, sir, Commissioner Hartman.
But Dr. Alani testified that it's not any MD or DO that can administer it. They have to be board certified. They are regulated by the state. They're regulated by the DEA. All of those regulations are in place. So where adding the language is just possibly restricting something in the future where they still have to be certified by the state. They have to be licensed by the state to do spinal injections. Any OMD can't, a podiatrist can't go out there and start doing spinal injections. The state will come down and shut them down in a heartbeat. So we have that protection, I think, with the language that's written now. I kind of was going to go down Jake's idea about every 1,000 feet, but if you have a multi-story medical facility, you may have competing places right next door to each other, but as long as they're meeting their criteria, because this is a special exception. It's not a grandfathered everybody come in, it's a special exception process, and that's why I don't have a problem with it.
Anybody else?
Can I just reinforce what you said? That once we approve the zoning text, all future are quasi-judicial,
Right.
which are exceptionally difficult to turn down because we'd probably get sued. So anybody else who comes in, it's almost virtually guaranteed to approve it. We lose a lot of our control because of the quasi-judicial nature that Mayor Cleveland brought up, I thought very well thought out. And
But we've turned down 4 or 5 of them since I've been on the dais, so it's like, yes. We don't win them in court, but we still turn them down, so.
But we have better odds.
But that, again, if a higher legal authority raises these issues, so be it. But I'm comfortable with what staff has been working on. This is what they felt was the best way to move forward. So I'm comfortable with what the special exception criteria.
I'm certainly willing to add to any language that anything that you all feel uncomfortable with, we can add in. So board certified anesthesiologist and pain management doctor to echo the state's requirement. Anything you want to put in there, I'm up for it.
My only caution is that with distance requirements, you have to have data to support that it's, a nuisance or there's a reason why you need this distance requirement. And like Commissioner McGurk pointed out, there's been a change in state legislation. So I think we are comparing pill mills with a new animal. So I don't know that that data would be there to support the distance requirements.
Any other discussion? Is there a motion to approve an ordinance? Get the number right here.
Motion to approve ordinance 4424.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Martin?
No.
Vice Mayor Perine?
No.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
No. Motion fails. Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody's time on that. Okay, ordinance number 4924, it's a second reading. And Madam City Attorney, would you read ordinance 4924 for the second time by title only?
Ordinance number 4924, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending ordinance number 6323 to revise user charges for the collection of garbage and household trash, yard trash, and household receptacles, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. I see Mr. Ray in the batter's box. We're ready for your report, Director Ray.
Okay. So this ordinance, back in June of 23, an ordinance was approved that stipulated that the trash financials will either go up by 4% or CPI, whichever is greater. CPI this year is 4.35, so that's what we are proposing to raise the current rates to. This will also ensure that the sanitation fund stays in the positive for fiscal year 25. I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions for our Maintenance Operations Director? Commissioner Hartman?
So is this just waste, or does it also include recycle and vegetation?
This is for the waste.
Trash.
Trash.
Household
Yes, sir.
trash.
Household trash, yes, sir.
Okay. Because in the cover letter, it specifies that it includes all of them, so that's. So the previous ordinance that we approved was 3323, which states that each year the charges for collection of refuse, recyclables, and the rental mechanical containers will increase by 4%.
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry.
So then it does include recyclables?
It does include all of them. I apologize.
Okay. My only concern is that at a previous meeting, we were going to look into whether or not recyclable was actually not profitable, but whether it was cost effective to continue to recycle, or is that something that we should stop? So if that information comes back to us at a later date, is that something that we can say, effective at January 1, we're no longer going to do?
We can definitely make that decision.
Thanks.
Comment.
Yes, sir.
Yard pickup when there's a pile. Now that they're going to jack up the rates again, can you please make sure that they can get those on time? What is the reasonable expectation of having to bring in the claw truck?
So our main issue right now is that the claw truck, if you need a claw truck, it needs to be called in, and a work order essentially has to be made for Waste Pro. So they don't go through the entire city right now at this time and pick up any piles they see. It's got to be called in. Whether our staff sees it, a lot of times we will input it. Our solid waste officer will drive through the zones, and if they see it, they will put it in the system. But right now it's on the resident of that home to call it in.
Okay, that's changed. And I'm not happy about that because it's changed and we don't know. And I'm telling you, for the past year, I got lots of complaints. I got it in my neighborhood. I get complaints in Islesboro and all other places. They don't pick it up. Right. So when did we switch from Waste Pro called it in? My understanding was when they picked up a pile, it was too big that they weren't going to pick up. The truck called it in or filed some paperwork to send the claw out. Right. So you can tell I'm irritated about that because that shouldn't have changed. And if it did, we should have had it Waste Pro pay for a very strong and elaborate campaign educating the people to do it. Because now, after a year of complaining about this, I'm being told it's changed. So either they weren't doing it right, or they're doing it right on their terms, but we don't know what to do. In the meantime, everybody's grass grows to about a foot high, and all the leaves are dead, and they blow around. The grass is dead. So let me ask you a question. Why did we change it from what a policy that seemed to be perfectly normal, which was when the truck comes and they see that it's too big for them to pick up, they call it into their own facility to send a truck out?
So to my understanding, it was changed several years ago. I know that I feel the same frustration that you feel, and I'm sure a lot of residents feel as well. And as we go into negotiations with Waste Pro moving forward, I believe we can open up negotiations for an extension of the contract this year. That is one of those, that is one item that will be brought to the forefront.
If I may jump.
Go ahead, sir.
We'll call Waste Pro even before the negotiation, and that we need to go back to the old policy. It shouldn't be more than 2 weeks. If it needs to have a cherry picker, pick it up. So I will call Waste Pro personally, and we'll get back on it. That should not be done like that.
Well, I appreciate that, but 2 weeks is too long, because 2 weeks, everything's dead. All the leaves are blown around the neighborhood. Grass is dead, and it's too late.
Yeah. No, I'm
They need
saying
to be
if it
within
needs
a
a
week.
claw, it shouldn't be more than 2, because what happened is the truck goes in for the regular, they pick it up. If it requires a cherry picker, then it goes on a different schedule. So that's what I'm saying. It shouldn't be more than 2 weeks. A week will be probably the preferred. So
Well, 2 weeks is too long. But I understand what you're saying, but if it takes 2 weeks to get a claw truck out there, it's too, we might as well start burning trash piles in front of the house like they do up north. Yeah, I'm glad I have clarified that. And at the least we could do, let me tell you, I went out, tried to get a hold of the planning department. When I Google New Smyrna Beach Planning Department, it has the wrong number. When I go onto the city website, it's hard for me to find how to actually contact Development Services. I searched around. So these numbers that, some people think are so easily accessible are not. I mean, finally I had to call Tammy and say, hey, what's the number to Development Services? How do I reach my planners? It's just something that, if it's not easy for us, it's certainly not easy for the residents. Right. And I don't know who I'm calling other than seeing a Waste Pro truck drive by and then try to write down the number. So that would be a very good public service notice to send out. And I'll certainly at least educate my neighborhood on that. Thank you.
Anybody else? First time around. I know you can catch it. Go ahead.
I'm just going to ditto Commissioner McGurk's sentiments. I personally had debris that I had in my yard for over 2 weeks that was never picked up. And I had no idea who to call. I looked, tried to find it, and with all of these charges going up, I think we deserve better service.
Commissioner Hartman.
So I know it happened over 2 years ago, and I've had extensive conversations with the claw truck driver, and the problem is that the people on the regular route would not pick up a pile and call the claw truck driver to come get it just because they didn't want to pick up the thing. And then there was the issue about they needed better documentation when they truly had a need for a pickup, and it wasn't just the regular yard waste guys not wanting to pick up a bunch of stuff. It was an internal problem then, so that's when they changed it to make it more of a documented process, so that they would have documentation on how many times they were called, the truck was called out, and so it kind of eliminated some of the internal problems that they were having at that point in time. I've never waited for more than a week. I go on the website, go to solid waste, go to the request form, request a call truck, and it's there within a week. So.
Website, their website or website?
Our website.
Man, you learn something new every day.
Anybody else? So all right, so Jason thought he was the slowest guy here. It's me. I've never not had to call for the claw truck, and I didn't know that you were supposed to that it was supposed to be on auto. So I have always just called for the claw truck. Didn't know it was a feature that we'd had. There's another one that many residents approached me on, and it's could be an economy for Waste Pro, but it may be a disservice to recycling. There are certain times in certain neighborhoods where one truck picks up both and it goes in the same truck, the garbage and the recycling. And I know there are cameras on the back of the truck. I talked to the city manager about this, and so should our neighbors and friends see that out there in the community, call in with your address to either the city or to Waste Pro, and they will run the camera tape and validate that and fire the person that's doing that. For anybody can hear my voice, that's the protocol that we got to get started. You probably, David, should warn the Waste Pro people we're watching, and we don't want that to happen because we're not going to pay a premium for something that you're not doing. But if you're a citizen in this community and you see that happening, call in with your address. They have a camera on the back of the truck, and they will absolutely research that, and they'll deal with that directly.
It actually saves the city money because it's cheaper to haul the refuge than it is to recycle.
That's the point, and we're paying for the recycle, and if it's not happening...
Well, but we pay by the load, so
Yeah.
so if they don't haul it, it doesn't get recorded, so it's cheaper just to send it all at one time.
Well, and one possibility, is that the bin that's going in the garbage truck is mainly filled with glass, which we no longer recycle. So all of these things have, but I'm thrilled to see other members on my commission because I am asking if our recycling is more aspirational than actually really accomplishing what we want in terms of the environment and the planet. And we pay extra for, I think, a lot of aspirational without really looking at the carbon footprint behind what we do now. So I'm just thrilled to hear other concerns.
Mr. Rashida, you will follow up for sure.
We'll follow up, David and I will follow up with Waste Pro. The only thing is, I know you mentioned about the double on picking up garbage and the recycling. I think the first time that happened, I think we had a new driver.
Yep.
Now, I want you to get me the address for that so we could
Yes.
go back to the camera
Yes,
if you
for
would,
sure.
please. I want to just follow up on that one.
Absolutely.
And then also, did they get us the report on the recycling?
Yeah, right now we are sitting at a 37% contamination rate of all of our recycling.
So say some more about what that means, so
So
everybody understands it.
If any of the recycling is contaminated, it can't be recycled, it goes straight to the landfill. And right now, through all of our recycling within the city, 37% we're hovering right around 37% of contamination rate.
So talk about what that means. You got to recycle the blue bin. What does contaminated mean?
Essentially, if you have a jar of peanut butter and you don't clean it out, it's contaminated.
Okay.
Everything has to be cleaned out.
Pizza box.
Yes.
Yep.
Pizza boxes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Got it. So the whole bucket is now
Yes, it's
if you got a
yes.
pizza box in there or a peanut
Yeah.
butter jar, that whole box goes to the regular landfill.
That whole box goes to the regular
Wow.
landfill.
Okay.
But at a much higher cost
At a
than
much-
if it had been in the trash can to begin with.
That's right. Okay, very good. David, I know this wasn't exactly where you were taking us on the wage increase, but you get the general idea of what we're talking about. Any closers on that, sir?
No, but I must say that Waste Pro, they do really an outstanding job overall. I think they go above and beyond to please us. I think I've never received so many comments, positive comments on garbage. We went to meetings and the first thing they say, we like your garbage. So with that, I think it's the CPI, and we're not using the 4.3, we're using the 4 as a max. And I think it's legit, so.
Very good. Thank you very much. All right, thanks, David, for that. Okay, public hearing is now open. Is there any citizen wish to speak on this topic? We may not have exhausted all of that. Come forward and you'll be heard. Seeing none, the public participation is now closed. Commission will now consider adoption of ordinance 4924. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve ordinance 4924.
Second.
And motion and second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Move on to ordinance number 5024. That's item 9D on the agenda, which is the rezoning of 0.34 acres of land to B4. Madam City Attorney, if you'll read it for the second time by title only, please.
Ordinance number 5024, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach rezoning .34 plus or minus acres of property generally located on the southwest corner of 7th Avenue and South Atlantic Avenue from B2 Neighborhood Business District to B4 Ocean Commercial District, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. Senior Planner Mathan, we're ready for your report, sir.
Yes, sir. So the parcel contains approximately 0.34 plus or minus acres. It's located on the southwest corner of East 7th Avenue and South Atlantic Avenue as shown on the location map. So the current and the proposed zoning maps are shown overhead. The property owners have requested to have the property rezoned from B2 Neighborhood Business to B4 Ocean Commercial District. This request is in relation to being able to construct 2 single-family homes on 2 existing platted lots. So the arrow map shown above also shows that there's a duplex to the west. Triplex to the west, that's zone B2. There's a motel to the south that's zoned B44. There's a parking lot shown to the north, which is part of a vacant bank with an approved site plan for a convenience store with fuel pumps. That's zone B2. And what's not shown on the map is there's a motel east across Atlantic Avenue, which is also zone B4. So the current future land use is commercial. That will not change. I provided a copy of the existing future land use map showing the surrounding properties. As you can see, the surrounding properties have commercial future land use designations. So when the planning department receives an application for rezoning, staff must review the application for consistency with the city's comprehensive plan and the land development regulation. So after reviewing the application against the city's comprehensive plan, staff would propose that the application would be consistent with the following. Element 2, future land use, Coronado Beach neighborhood. Element 2, future land use category commercial. Element 2, future land use compatible zoning table 2-5. And element 4, the property rights element. So after reviewing the application against the land development regulations, the 2 zoning districts do have a few different regulations. The single-family option in the B4 zoning district is not allowed in that B2 zoning district. Also, this would be a less intrusive use than the commercial uses that are listed in the B2 zoning district. So currently, there's over 35 commercial uses in the B2 zoning district that would not be allowed if it was rezoned to B4. And then the maximum impervious coverage in the B2 zoning district is 75%. The B4 zoning limits the maximum impervious coverage to 60% for single family and 75% for multifamily. Also, the maximum building height in the B2 zoning district is 3 stories or 35 feet. The maximum building coverage in the B4 zoning district is 3 stories or 35 feet for single family homes, but then 4 stories or 45 feet for a multifamily development. And properties on this application, if they so choose, could rent the houses as short-term rentals because short-term rentals are allowed in the B4 zoning district. Staff would also review if there's a change in the zoning would affect adjacent or closely related neighboring properties. The vacant parcel is adjacent to an existing motel to the south and a triplex to the west. The proposed use of single family would not seem to be negatively impact the neighboring commercial or multifamily properties. Also, the neighboring property to the south and property located east are currently zoned to B4. Also, in theory, traffic counts for single-family homes should be less than a commercial or multifamily use. And since the B4 zoning district would allow for short-term rental, I have provided a copy of the short-term rental regulation, as you can see in front of you. Properties that are east of the intercoastal waterway or the channel that are zoned R4, R5, R6, B, or B4, mixed use and bed and breakfast overlay can operate a short-term rental. Also, properties that are zoned R3A that are east of Atlantic Avenue are also allowed to operate as short-term rentals. So if a property is east of the intercoastal waterway and south of 3rd Avenue and it's zoned R2A, or any property that's west of the intercoastal waterway that's zoned mixed use or bed and breakfast overlay, can also operate as a short-term rental. So I provided the bed and breakfast overlay map and the short-term rental map. So as you can see in the bed and breakfast overlay on the map, the parcel is already in that overlay, so changing the zoning would not affect that map. The short-term rental map on the right is based on zoning districts, so from the previous slide, the property would be shaded and an updated map, if rezoned, would be approved. So at the regular scheduled meeting back on July the 1st, 2024, the Planning and Zoning Board voted 7-0 to give a positive recommendation to the City Commission to approve the requested rezoning application from B2 Neighborhood Business to B44 Ocean Commercial. They did have a condition that they would have to apply for a minor subdivision application to show that they are going to be splitting the property into 2 lots, which they have applied for that. And the Planning and Zoning Board, the Planning Department also recommends approval to change the zoning to B4 Ocean Commercial. So that concludes the summary of the staff report, subject to any questions that the commissioners may have.
Thank you, Bob. Stand by, if you will, please.
And the applicant is here tonight as well.
A quasi-judicial public hearing will be conducted to consider the adoption of ordinance 5024, which if adopted would rezone approximately 3.34 acres of land to B2 Ocean Commercial on a vacant property located at the southeast corner of East 7th Avenue and South Atlantic Avenue. The quasi-judicial hearing is now open. We've heard from the senior planner. Any questions for him? Now hear from the applicant. Unless anybody's got a question for Mr. Mathan?
I've got a quick question on
Okay.
that height. So it goes up from 35 feet to 40 or 45 feet?
If it's a multifamily product or a commercial product, they can do 4 stories at 45 feet. Their proposal is to subdivide it into 2 lots for single family. They would be limited to 3 stories at 35 feet.
But if they don't decide to do that, is that a special consideration during this this application, or can we approve it and they change their mind and then they're able to go ahead and build up to 45 feet?
Yeah, it'd be very hard to build on the property. It is only a certain size of property, so by the time you throw your landscape buffers, your parking lot requirements, it'd be probably pretty hard to probably put a development of multifamily on this parcel. So.
Thank you, Bob.
Any other question for the senior planner? Go ahead,
No,
Lisa.
mine is, I just want to reiterate that there is no legal method for us to say that what they say they're going to do, that they then have to do. Because it's just simply changing the land, and then in fact, they could put a for sale sign up the next day, or they could change their mind about what they want to build. And so to reiterate that changing that zoning, we really can't, I don't think, take the applicant, here's what I think I'm going to be doing, into consideration. There's just no legal mandate to require that, correct?
Well, all I know is they fulfilled the requirement to apply for a minor subdivision. It is sitting in my office ready to be approved, but I can't approve it without the zoning change, because right now, single-family homes are not allowed in the current B2. And plus, you're looking at 20-some commercial permitted uses that are going to go out the door. So.
There's some really sweet little neighborhood, would love to see more neighborhood businesses there. I think it needs it. So I'm very much a fan.
It's been on the market for a very long time, and I just think that you just haven't had the right person be able to find that property and build what they need to build for commercial. It's just the size, the landscape buffers. You've got the triplex in the back, so that's residential, so that's going to increase the landscape buffer, which is probably 25 feet. So you start shrinking that landscape buffers, and then there's not much left land to build. You will have to go up to build.
Just a question. Is there, remember the original tabby houses where they had living quarters over shops?
Mhm.
Would that be permitted in the B2?
So the B2 would not permit it because you can't have the single-family use in the B2. Single-family is not permitted at all. So it would have to be a multifamily product or a commercial product. And it's too small to rezone to a PUD like the tabby houses were done.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So I jotted it in my notes from the briefing, but I didn't see it come up on the slide here. If we kept the zoning the same, that could be 12 units rented at 30 days or more.
So
Because that's our minimum rental, correct?
Right. So the density is 12 units per acre. So to get the 12 units, they'd have to have a whole acre of property. They don't have an acre of property there.
So they couldn't have 12 units.
They couldn't have 12 units now because they don't have enough property for 12 units.
Okay.
So if you have half an acre, that's 6. You have a quarter of an acre, all of a sudden you're down to 3 or 4. So you have to have a
So
whole
it
acre to
would-
get the 12.
2 single family would definitely be less than what it's currently zoned.
Right. And the application they submitted for the minor subdivision to change to split the 2 lots out, the lots are running north to south, so the access would be on 7th and not Atlantic. So you don't have to worry about the driveway cuts on Atlantic or trying to get past our stormwater system that's under Atlantic Avenue. 7th is a lot easier, more of a neighborhood road to be able to use driveways. So.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank
Mason.
you.
Appreciate it. Now you can rest. All right, the applicant is present, and we're anxious to hear what you have to say, sir.
And I appreciate that. First of all, for the record, my name is Glenn Storch, and I have been working on this. The first question is, could you do something under the existing zoning? We've tried. There are things you can do. I mean, if you wanted to force it, you could do something higher, but it didn't seem to be smart. And in this particular case, this really seemed to be part of the 7th Street residential neighborhood more than anything else. And when I saw that y'all had changed the requirements for B4 to actually add single family on there, that struck me as what you were trying to do was trying to reduce densities. So when you do that, I mean, you open the door to allow for people to reduce densities. That's what my client said. I said, look, this is obviously a better use for residential than it is for anything else, single-family residential. And so when you looked at this, you already have basically 2 lots that were fronting A1A, okay? And it adjoins the residential subdivision on 7th Avenue. That's the piece there that we're talking about. And to me, it seemed like it should be more 7th Avenue than A1A. When you're dealing with A1A, you're dealing with access issues. You're dealing with, you don't want to increase the number of driveways on A1A. It increases traffic, it increases traffic problems. And so in this particular case, the idea was, why don't we look at this as single family? And so these are the B2 uses right now that you're allowed. That includes nightclubs, it includes billiard halls, it includes convenience stores, it includes multifamily condominiums. It includes a lot of things that you could probably stuff on there, but doesn't make any sense for this neighborhood. And so rather than do that, we've added that we're going for the proposed B4. It does allow these various things on there, but we've told you point blank, we're going to do this as single family. And Commissioner Martin was concerned that, we're not going to do that. We are, and so there was some people on the planning board that was also concerned. And so I said, fine, I'll go ahead and submit the subdivision first before we go back to the city commission, which is what I did. It's been designed, it is submitted, it is waiting for approval right now, as soon as you have the zoning. And when we did that, obviously we've employed the engineer, we've done all the surveying, we've done everything else. We did it not like this, where you have the way it is presently platted, that goes directly to A1A. We did it like this, so that you have 2 lots on 7th and no access on A1A, which makes so much more sense for a residential neighborhood and for a residential area. And the way we've got it structured, there's plenty of room now for homes. You have plenty of setback rooms for homes. I thought I had something in here that showed that. But there's, the setbacks would be, the 20-foot in the front, the 20-foot in the back, and the 7.5 on each side. And so the front would be 7th Avenue as opposed to A1A. And that's why we're looking at this. So rather than the 12 units per acre, which, I guess, maybe you do want 12 units per acre in some places, but this particular neighborhood, when they were here last time, did not want that. They wanted single family. And so I told them, I promised them that I would do this in such a way where we actually did the subdivision first before we came back to you, which we've done. And so as soon as as we're approved on this rezoning, then you will have a subdivided 2 units, and that's it. 2 single-family units, which again, I thought that's what you were doing when you changed the rules in the first place, to encourage this. So this is what we're doing. It's consistent with the comprehensive plan. We found a way to do that. It's consistent with we have a staff recommendation of approval. As you can tell, a very strong staff recommendation of approval. And we also have a unanimous planning board recommendation. So I thought this was a good one. If you have any questions, let me know.
Any questions for the applicant? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I noticed that the maximum 1,200 square feet of interior living space, and I don't see a lot of new homes being built for 1,200 square feet. So I'm just, are these supposed to be homes that small?
I haven't seen that as far as the size of the homes.
Well, it says maximum size 1,200 square feet of
Okay.
interior living space.
Yeah.
And interior living space, I would assume, applies to a home.
Yeah, Bob? I'm looking for basically 2 single-family homes, consistent with the neighborhood.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking at
Yeah.
the B4, which does allow for the single-family residential, but it says maximum size 1,200 square feet. It was up on this screen, it's up in the original, the documents, Exhibit F. So I'm just trying to understand.
That's for transient lodging.
Oh, right. Thank you.
It doesn't state that, it just says interior living space.
Yeah, so
It's under the transient lodging with the colon.
Yeah, so when you look under the B4, what was added and approved when the single-family use was, it actually says that it's the minimum floor for single-family, 650 for 1 and 2 bedroom, 1,200 is minimum for a 3-bedroom, and 1,300 is minimum for a 4-bedroom.
Okay.
So it'll be typical homes that are consistent with the neighborhood, is the bottom
Yeah,
line.
yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate that. Commission will now hear from members of the public wishing to comment in favor of or opposed to ordinance 5024. Are there any members of the public wish to speak? Ms. Sachs.
Good evening. I'm Leslie Sachs. I live a block away at 816 East 8th Avenue. I'm concerned because of the zoning change to B4 because it has so many uses in addition to the residential that was recently added in a text amendment. It has uses such as parking garages and taller heights, which was just stated. It sounds good that only 2 homes will be built, but this zoning change creates extra value for a future sale. I look at the blight that should have been a Hyatt hotel. Now, what is that going to be? B4 zone has a much smaller setback requirement than B2, which is problematic due to stormwater runoff and flood potential. There's already a lot of B4 in this area. We don't need more. This change may add 2 more short-term rentals plus all the other allowable uses, which increases the value of this lot. Please ask yourselves, is there a need or is this greed? How will this benefit the NSB resident and our neighborhood? Please consider the impact. Think about this. The landowner's attorney was against short-term rentals for 12 North Beach homes about a year ago. Down the block from this item, there will be 77 new townhomes, which he has added a stipulation prohibiting short-term rentals. So why all of a sudden are short-term rentals okay for this project? It abuts a neighborhood where short-term rental is prohibited. I welcome a use that fits the current B2 neighborhood business, which would actually benefit us. Keep our neighborhood charm. Please vote no. or if they really wanted to downzone to residential use, then let them use a real residential zone instead of ocean commercial, which really shouldn't even have that residential in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments. Is there any others from the public who would like to avail themselves of public participation? Seeing none, public participation is now closed. Well, you'll get your chance. We'll first hear any closing remarks from the city staff.
I actually don't have any more remarks, but I'm just here in case there's any more questions. I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions for the senior planner? Bob, is the density greater or less by approving this?
The density doesn't change. The density is controlled by the future land use, which is commercial. So the maximum future land use on the beach side for commercial is 12 units per acre, but they only have 100 by 150 piece of property, so they can get 12 units on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you go for, say, an R2 rezoning as opposed to a B4?
So they have two choices. They have to be a zoning that's adjacent to the property.
Okay.
So right now, they were B2 and B2 to the north. So they were the last, basically B2. From their south was the B4. So they can't go in R2 because it'd be a spot zoning out of context of the neighboring zones. Then we'd have to change future land use as well to a residential one. So.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Mr. Mathan? Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes. Closing remarks from the applicant, please.
I just was going to say the same thing Bob said. I couldn't do a residential zoning because it would be spot zoning at that point. And there was no basis for it. But you allowed us to do single family. And so I thought everyone would love this. And that's what we're doing on 7th Avenue. And that's to facilitate the neighborhood, which again, I know that there's a concern that we might do a parking garage or something here, but no, this is designed and ready to go for single family, and they'll put it on the market for single family tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Anything else?
Just going to ask.
Go ahead.
So we can come after you if anything other than 2 single-family residentials are, this is your contract.
Yes.
Your legal contract, that is what will actually happen.
I will tell you that I've talked to my client about this, and I've told her point blank, I'm making the representation this is going to be single family. She said, absolutely. She wouldn't have let me do the subdivision if I didn't. So, yes, you can count for me.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the comments. Any other questions before we go from our comments? Any comments by or thoughts by any of the commission? Is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 5024?
Motion to approve ordinance 5024.
Second.
A motion and a second. Last call for discussion. Madam City Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner McGurk?
No.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion's adopted. Thank you very much. And now on to first readings. This is the first reading with no discussion on it about the rezoning of the land use out off of State Road 44, west of 95, known as the Deering Park. It's ordinance number 5124. Madam City Attorney, will you read it by first time by title only? The second reading of this will be a quasi-judicial and public hearing will be conducted on September 10th.
Ordinance number 5124, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach rezoning 1,608 plus or minus acres of property located south of State Road 44 and west of I-95 from A1 prime agriculture, forestry resource, and conservation to planned unit development. Approving the Deering Park Innovation Center at New Smyrna Beach Planned Unit Development Master Development Agreement. Authorizing the mayor to execute the Deering Park Innovation Center at New Smyrna Beach Planned Unit Development Master Development Agreement, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. I do believe we have some commission comments that may come out.
Commissioner McGurk?
Thank you, Mayor. So I don't usually speak during the first reading. But I do want everyone to know that I do not believe we had enough time to look at this project. During my briefings, I brought up a lot of questions that I have that are much deeper than can be answered up here on the dais. Some of those relate to not the standards, whether or not the standards are being met, but whether or not the standards themselves are adequate. How old are they? How long has it been? And most important, my question is, looking at the past, accountability. So when I look at something like Venetian Bay, when we have so many problems and so many issues, I have looked at this project. I generally support this project, but I have not had the time in the last 5 days or so to be able to look through the documentation and ask the necessary questions that I have for my planners, who are supposed to be my experts. I can move this forward in first reading, but I will not be ready to hear this thing on September. 2 weeks is not enough time for me to be able to get the kind of questions that I have answered for my staff. So I'm just letting everybody know the way I feel about that. I would prefer, dare I say, a workshop on this before I'm going to be completely comfortable, because we had an opportunity to speak about what we wanted to see out of this, but I have not had an opportunity to see how that translates into the documents. And I'm going to have a lot of questions that I would like to ask staff, engineering, planning, and some questions that that staff may not be able to answer very easily. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, that's a good one. So before we move to other comments, Madam City Attorney, I fear that others may have the same degree of discomfort, level of preparedness. A couple things. From time to time, we've had applicants meet with us separately and give us a brief. That's helpful. And then the workshop idea is another opportunity for us to share with each other what we think. What is the protocol for deferral so it doesn't have to go forward on September 10th?
Well, a couple things. So if there were a workshop, it would be questions and answers from Mr. Storch on behalf of his client. It's not a session to judge it. This would be a quasi-judicial item. So it wouldn't really be a, how does the commission feel about it? It's more like getting comfortable with this is what it is. As for continuing it, first, the applicant would need to be agreeable to that. And two, we would need a time frame of like what item, or what do you want to continue it to? Like 6 months? The issue with this one is we do have 2 comprehensive plan amendments pending, and those will be considered withdrawn if they are not acted upon within 180 days from the day we got the letter with the no objections from the state. Bob's not here. Do you guys happen to have the date offhand of when we received that letter? Okay, so we have that. We also have the 60-day provision regarding the rezoning application. So there's a few things to juggle. So I guess the question would be timing. When would you want to either have a workshop or?
Listen, I'm flexible with that. That's that technical aspect of it could be left up to you guys, who know the rules and laws that we need to follow. 2 weeks is not enough for me. So I'm talking, at least a couple months, if not, at the very least a couple months. All depends on how much staff time I could take, asking questions, coming back. So, and even with the applicants and their experts. So.
Is this shared by any other commissioner? Same feeling? I see a nod there. Commissioner Hartman.
I'm good.
No, you're good.
I'm good. I had a lot of questions in the last 2 days, but I feel comfortable that I'd be able to get that answered by staff. I've been forwarding those and getting answers as I go, so I'm fine.
I would just go reiterate what Commissioner McGurk said. This is a monumental change to New Smyrna Beach. And I know that it's been being worked on for years, but as it comes to these final stages, I've had a lot of recent people saying, what? No, or what about this, or what about that? It's so large that I really think we need more of a workshop. We need more of, now the community has their ears perked up. They'd probably be willing to come in and hear more about it. I mean, this is a fundamental change to the city, and I think I would appreciate more time with it.
So help me, city attorney here, if the applicant would be willing, what is a reasonable, and I hear what you're saying in a quasi-judicial, this would be more of a presentation. We won't be discussing what we like and what we don't like. It would be Mr. Storch offering, hey, let me show you what I've shown you previously. Let me show you again. Let me answer your questions, stuff like that.
Right, you guys could question the applicant, trying to find out what is and what isn't. The 180 days, the comments were received on June 3rd, so that would put you at, you would need to do November for an adoption. So you could move it forward tonight. We're in end of August, September. You'd need to come to October, a meeting in
Sometime
October
in
for
October.
first reading. Yeah.
I'm concerned that Commissioner McGurk has not been able to get the planning team. Shane, we got to be able to get that tuned up so that he can hear what he needs to hear, ask the questions and what have you, and maybe another session with you, Mr. Storch, with him, so that he can, and make that available to all of us. So that, I mean, if you have the time and as you hear from my colleagues, if we do feel like it's a big deal, it's a big step, and we don't want the public to be surprised, we want them to participate fully and understanding.
Absolutely.
They'll have opinions for sure, but at least an understanding, and that goes for the commission as well.
And again, we've already taken many of the things that we've heard we've had a number of hearings already, as you know. And we've already taken the number of things we've heard and put them into the PUD itself. That's the contract. That's the PUD is the contract. But if I can suggest, especially because I am very worried about the comp plan part of this, if I can suggest, there's no reason why these have to be at the same line. I mean, we can bifurcate that. We can go ahead and have our comp plan hearings on the 10th. And that gets us into that solves all my problems as far as all the reviews that we've had so far, and we can take our time with the design, the continuing design of the PUD, and because that's your major contract, and that's the thing that, as Jason said, the devil's in the details. He wants to make sure that all the details are in there, and I would have no problem with working along those lines. And so, I mean, we could do. In fact, you could even do the first reading tonight if you wanted to, and then save the second reading for.
It might be better to continue first reading so that the 60-day provision doesn't tie the commission's hands.
That's fine. Okay.
So your guidance, ma'am, state it clearly again, please.
So you could consider the comprehensive plan amendments on September 10th and then just continue this first reading so that you have more than 60 days to hear about it, touch it, feel it, question it.
And I'm agreeable to that. My concern is the actual PUD and what's in the PUD and so on. So I'm agreeable.
Do you need a motion, or do you want without objection?
We need a motion to continue ordinance number 5124, first reading to the second meeting in October.
Can I have that motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes, thank you. Okay.
So, do we have a chance to have a date as far as when that because my wife just bought tickets.
It's October 8th.
October 8th.
The
that's good.
second one is actually the 22nd, October 22nd.
I think we're leaving the 24th.
Oh, second reading.
Say that again?
You're fine either way?
Huh?
You're fine because you're not leaving until the 24th.
Right.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Storch. Thank you, Madam City Attorney. I appreciate that. Item number 12 is boards. I don't believe we have any boards. Is that right, Kelly? Nothing? Okay, very good.
No, sir.
And now we'll conclude with reports. We'll start with Commissioner Perrine.
So my report's all about Khalid. I'm going to miss him. This is his last time up here to be listening to us, waiting anxiously to see if we're going to pull something from the consent agenda or not. We've been doing better, and I want to remind the public that Thursday night at 5:30 is open to talk about or to be here so you can hear about the things Khalid has done for 35 years, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be nice. And I can remember my very first time up here. It was very scary, and I had no clue what I was doing, and Khalid held my hand the entire process. And he's been very kind and gentle with all of us, and I just will miss him greatly.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Commissioner Hartman.
I'll save my Khalid comments for Thursday night. So, but, you know, I want to thank staff for all the hard work that they've been doing with the parking issue in Venetian Bay. There's been a lot of back and forth. There's been, a lot of this person saying this and the other person. And I know Ron and the rest of staff have been working real hard with this, trying to get it nailed down specifically. I think we're going to get there. So I think there's going to be resolve at the end of the, light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm hoping it'll be a favorable one for the residents. But just, so that everybody knows that we're just not ignoring the issue and what the problems are out there. I'd be curious, where we are also with the stormwater issue, especially, with the Deering Park, what new data have we learned today that maybe, our groundwater assumptions are today what they were 25 years ago when, some of these codes were written. So, that would be another thing. So I'm looking forward to that report at the end of I think we said January, is we'll revisit the moratorium and maybe have some significant data at that point in time. So it's going to be interesting next month. That's all I'll say.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Commissioner Martin.
I would like my gift to Khalid tonight to be that I will not prolong this meeting by saying anything else.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner McGirt.
Khalid, it has been a pleasure to be here for your last meeting. Glad I can do it. It's something I always remember. Valley and the staff who did the audit, who handled the committee for the auditing, thank you. Was not challenging the actual what you guys did. Great job. Been on a bunch of those kinds of things, and appreciate the work you put into it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. A couple of comments. I echo Commissioner Hartman's remarks about the Venetian Bay parking situations. More than an annoyance, it's a cataclysmic event for those merchants out there. And just to reiterate from the dais, New Smyrna Beach Police Department or Parking Enforcement will not be doing any of that enforcement should they decide to proceed. And so I've been affirmed that by the police chief and by the city manager. So the assistant city manager is working hard behind the scenes to get a great resolution, and I wish you Godspeed there. Many have called and written several of us to talk about our personal position on the project that some call a garage, some call a mall on Atlantic. Offering our opinions ahead of the quasi-judicial hearing would subject any member of this commission to being removed and not be able to participate in the decision-making process at the quasi-judicial hearing. So that is why you don't hear the commission talking and offering their opinions, because we're required to listen, by law, we're required to listen to the evidence presented at the quasi-judicial hearing. It's not that we're trying to hide anything, not that we're trying to hedge a bet, but that is the way the procedure is written. So for those of you that can hear my voice, understand that that is why we cannot talk about that ahead of time. And lastly, there is a farewell, and all members of the city are welcome. Farewell to Mr. Rashadat, Thursday evening, 5:30 at the Brannan Center. Come one, come all. And to you, sir, my final remarks are, your servant leadership is evident. Your example extends well past your time here. You will long be remembered for many things, not the least of which was your perseverance, of your beliefs and your thoughts of how we can make New Smyrna better and better and better through continuous process improvement. And you are a servant leader by example. We admire you very much for that. Thank you, and we're grateful to have had time together. Madam City Clerk, anything from you, ma'am?
Nothing further.
Madam City Attorney, your report.
Yes, tonight I am looking for authorization for our office to file an eviction for another tenant at the airport for failure to pay rent. It's been close to a year, and they're about $37,000 in arrears, so I'm looking for a motion from the commission to authorize the city attorney's office to proceed with that eviction.
A motion for approval of retaining counsel to seek
So moved.
eviction. We have
Second.
a motion and a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Breen,
Yes.
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
Commissioner McGirt,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman.
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Godspeed, City Attorney.
Also, our new assistant city attorney is on board, Grant, and we're able to now take on proactively address some issues. He's also been working on legislative updates and meeting with staff and informing them and looking at code changes that need to be made. Tonight, I had planned on bringing you incremental ones, but tonight's not the meeting for that. And Khalid, I don't know, I'm a better writer than speaker, so you know how I feel. You've always been this gentle giant, and you've made a significant impact on my career here. You're so devoted, and I admire you so much.
Before we turn that over for Khalid's last remarks, Mr. City Manager-elect, any remarks from you, sir?
No, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Rashadat.
Well, thank you. I'm delighted and honored and blessed that I had almost my entire career here in the city of New Smyrna Beach, the city that I care for, that I love, that I live in. Having served with many commissioners and many mayors, but I have to say one thing about the city of New Smyrna Beach. All the commissioners and the mayor that I served with, they all have the same goal, which is serving the citizens of New Smyrna Beach, and they all have their hearts in the right place. I think what we disagree on is how we get there. A good example is, I've been talking about the Deering Park. We talk about diversity in our tax base. We talk about Team Volusia, what did they do to New Smyrna? But in the meantime, here is our project that we have before us. We've been talking about it for how long? And we still haven't got there. So if there is one thing that I'm asking the commission is, we need to have this economic development for New Smyrna. You cannot afford to keep raising the millage and have the residential take the burden from this tax base. We keep talking about it, 13% commercial and 83% or 85% residential. I mean, it's really something that we have to work for. I want to thank the mayor for his friendship. I want to thank the mayor for being an open since he got to office. Him and I, we have became very close. We don't agree on everything. He knows that when there's something happen, I feel free to come and talk to him, and he accepted, and I really appreciate that, because that makes it makes me really proud of our mayor. The vice mayor, I know that when she came in, I knew her from before. I didn't really know her well, but it's been a pleasure to work with you. I know you have asked a lot of questions, whether in emails, during briefings, but believe me, I think that makes us more healthy. It makes us to check and balance our books and our requirements. Same thing with Commissioner Martin. I know that Commissioner Martin, she loves to email at night. And I don't know if she's busy during the day, and then she gets into her emails and then she thinks about the questions. But I appreciate the questions and the comments, and I know we have disagreements, but all the respect. And then Commissioner Hartman, it's been almost 8 years now that him and we work together. And Commissioner Hartman, one thing about him, he always votes his conscience. And that's one thing I think it makes him stands out in my eyes throughout my career, to see somebody who really votes his conscience, because it's a tough thing to be on this dais and vote your conscience 100%. So thank you, Randy, for being supportive and being a commissioner that really serves the city of New Smyrna Beach very well. And obviously, last but not least, is Commissioner McGurk. Him and we go back for a long time, and the friendship, it grew, and probably I would say grew more than I expected. But I have all the respect for you, Commissioner McGurk, and I love you guys, and I will miss you. And I wish the city of New Smyrna Beach the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We're adjourned.